Hey guys, Kasal here. You're about to watch Thorin talk and talk and talk. But it's kind of good, I swear.
Dr. Lindsay Miglior, aka GamerDoc _ on Twitter, is the Senior Director of Gaming and Performance at Evil Geniuses. In her own words, she oversees the competitive direction of their gaming department. She is not to be confused with It's GamerDoc on Twitter, who works for Riot. Now, this is someone who is a pioneer in the field of esports medicine, which already is raising massive red flags, because when you look into it, what would be different from other medicine? Like, essentially, you are still just treating things like sporting injuries on hands and things, mental health. I mean, that's not even actually her specialty, by the way. So, okay, this is someone in the field esports medicine. She's had papers and a book accepted to like a major medical publisher. I think she did a tweet in 2020 that said that. This is someone who wrote the Handbook of Esports Medicine, which I think you can buy for about 60 to 80 euros online, probably a similar amount in dollars. That was published in 2021 by Springer Medical. Obvious questions right out the gate. What qualifies her to write that book, by the way? She had only even had an esports medicine consultancy company called GamerDoc since July 2020. So she has a company in July 2020, and then in 2021, she's publishing a book already, the Handbook of Esports Medicine. By the way, when you go on her LinkedIn, she had 0 qualifications in esports before that. Now, she wrote a piece in February of 2019 on kevinmd.com calling Ninja, Tyler Blevins, one of the most famous streamers of all time, the most popular athlete in the world. And she intentionally did that to be like edgy, like he's more popular than like even like, you know, like what a Tom Brady is. So I think she referenced that in the article, or like LeBron or something. So already you can see these are all the red flags of a grifter. By the way, these are the people who are coming in where they don't know what they're talking about. They're pretending to be an absolute expert and they're just talking absolute nonsense to get the attention out the gate. In that article, she said, to achieve ninja level success and compete at high levels where tournament prize pools can reach 7 figures, gamers must often grind, aka spend more than half of the day, 5 to 7 days a week, streaming the same game to advance their skills and attract more viewers. Right? Which is it? Are they actually like esports competitors competing in massive tournament prize fields where they can reach 7 figures, which, as far as I know, Ninja only did when it was like the big World Cups, etc., and then on just online tournaments where it's like he did it also for just attention. He wasn't actually like trying to be an elite pro in any of these games. Years ago, he wasn't like whatever, Halo, Call of Duty or something. That was years and years ago, and he wasn't like the best player, by the way. Also, which is it? Are they trying to compete or are they streaming? Are they trying to get more viewers? Which is it? Because obviously we all know Ninja was basically the biggest streamer in the world. He was nowhere close to the biggest like esports competitor or esports athlete or cyber athlete or whatever you want to call them. So already you're getting the sense this person doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Also, GamerDoc _ is the esports Twitter of this individual. They have another Twitter from when they were a doctor that goes back years before. So I went on there and I thought, right, in 2019, they're writing this article. I scroll backwards. There's nothing on her Twitter, and it goes back years before, about esports that ever mentions esports pre-2019. Doesn't happen. You can just go back. It's nothing there. Now in 2021, Wired, because don't worry, she had loads of press, as you can imagine, from the demographic boxes being ticked and how she's marketed herself. There's a Wired piece in 2021, the tech magazine and Vertical Online, where they talk about her, and then she says it's in 2021. Then, around 3 years ago, it caught up with Miglior too. After shoving her ice hockey bag into the boot of a friend's car and feeling a sudden snap at the back of her wrist, she realised video games had left her soft tissues in a troubled state. Skip further down. Miglior had a form of tendinitis, which can often afflict gamers. Flinging her hockey gear around had just revealed the extent of it. And although her training had predominantly been in traditional sports medicine, basically the same thing then, yeah? Not just some magical field you just invented. She was the physician. By the way, imagine that. Imagine being a guy who had like a degree in physics. So what you do is you come into just like some other sport like snooker, which involves like hitting balls and like triangulating. And then you go, I'm like working on the like like the physics of snooker, the handbook of the physics of snooker. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So then he goes here, she was the physician for her college football and basketball teams. It wasn't long before she decided to style herself, well phrased by the way, to style herself the GamerDoc and turn to esports full time. So if that was 3 years earlier, 2018, she wrecks her hand and goes, oh, a bit of gaming, never mentions esports. Too much gaming's left me with tendinitis. I could just say I know medicine of esports and wait a minute. I am a doctor, and I gamed, and I heard, I'm the GamerDoc. Bing! Light bulb goes off. Ting, 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 ting. I'm going to tell everyone I'm the GamerDoc, and I've pioneered esports medicine. Because, of course, tendinitis, if you get it from video games, that's totally different to being, I don't know, violinist, snooker player, surgeon, artists, like, oh wait, that's the same thing, isn't it? They'd all in their own way have to be aware of it. It's why if you ever look online, by the way, for exercises for your wrist like that, it's all people like, yeah, I'm a drummer, and it's like, I work with like tools all day long, like, yeah, I'm an artist, and obviously I get like a result. Give me a break. Then, don't worry, the good press keeps coming. On thegamehers.com, they do a career spotlight. That's right, in April 2021, they're doing career spotlights of people who've already just entered esports. Only just in the last year or so. Because that's how ridiculous this fucking industry in general gaming is now. It's completely astroturfed and compromised and full of fake individuals like this. So they say, but recently, in the past couple of years, I was trying to figure out ways to integrate those two things together. I'm a doctor and I'm a gamer. What the hell? You've got your peanut butter in my chocolate and my chocolate in the peanut butter. Give me a break. Give me an actual break. It's like she actually really did do that. It's like she actually didn't know what Reese's peanut butter cups are. And then she actually tripped over and spilled some chocolate into the peanut butter jar, then ate it out with a spoon. This is incredible. I think I'll market this Lindsay's peanut butter chocolate spoons. It's delicious, isn't it? The handbook of peanut butter. It's already existed. It already existed years before you. There were people doing exercises going, you know what? I actually did sports science and I'm a gamer and I might even be a low-level pro. I've realised there's a connection between the two. There was people doing this job. That's why, by the way, you have to be GamerDoc _ on fucking Twitter because you didn't even get there first. There is no GamerDoc for you. It's GamerDoc. He's already there. He's already working for Riot Games, mate. This is ludicrous. There's loads of people. By the way, classic sign of the grifter is this. They come in and they don't just go, I'm a doctor who works in the esports business. They go, I am the doctor who works here. I am the esports lawyer. This is the official podcast of esports. By the way, before anyone goes, you call yourself the esports historian. Right, quickly. You got 10 seconds. Name someone who started before me in 2001 and is famous and they would take the role of esports historian. Maybe even describe themselves. 1, 2, you couldn't name a single name, never mind 3. You couldn't name one. I've already told you a bunch of people that are already known more than this person, even associated with that tag, and have done that role. But there's loads that are behind the scenes that aren't even famous, that don't just market themselves like they're a genius, like they're the Tesla of their field, just figuring it all out while us dum-dums were over here the whole time for 20 years. Why does my wrist hurt? Must just be too many up spaces and back. Must be too much clicking on the mouse. Well, guess there's no way to fix that. Throw that arm away. Give me a break. Give me an actual break. Remember, Hai was going to retire from League of Legends at the end of 2015. Oh, spoiler, a solid, 4 years before she started calling Ninja the most popular athlete in the entire fucking world. Not even just in esports, which isn't even accurate. Popular streamer, an athlete in the entire world. So you know nothing about sports and esports. Brilliant. Or decorum, by the way. Or integrity, or truth, or being genuine and authentic in your statements. Are you ready? There was another line to that I forgot to mention. So she goes, I was trying to figure out ways to integrate those two things together. Here's the line. And esports especially had been exponentially booming. Oh, there we go. It wasn't because of your passion for medicine. It wasn't because you saw how you could help people and improve things. It wasn't because you came in and there was no one in the space and you were the only one that could help us. Help us all we want. You mighty hope. You couldn't come in and do that. No. What you saw was this market was going, and you thought, hey, it's a load of young people who don't know anything about this stuff. Hey, wait a minute. Trying to be like an actual doctor. In her case, by the way, not MD. It's like doctor of whatever. It's it's the one where it's about all fucking massages and shit. Instead of going in that field, that's a mega competitive field. There's loads of really good people there. There's people who are way bigger than you, wrote loads of books or papers, journals, cited thousands of times, references, etc. No, why not just go into this little pond and try and be the big fish, right? In the end, though, you just end up looking like a stupid koi with your mouth up and all the nothing of value coming out of it, as we'll get into in this video. Just a little note, this is someone, you can see this on their LinkedIn, who was an ergonomic advisor. Man, Americans love those titles, the way they just make them absolutely ridiculous. For Secret Lab, the people who make the gaming chairs, from November 2021. Notice how quickly this person's getting gigs, work, references, putting their resume out there. It's ludicrous. By the way, try actually doing a real job sometime. Try doing one where you enter a field with loads of people in it and you actually judged off merit and your own skill and how good you are at the job, not just some weird angle that you're going on in that sense. Like this would be like if I wanted to enter a field and I just chopped off my own arm and I'm the greatest one-armed Magic the Gathering author in history. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking hell. Then I'm in every magazine for disabled people. Like, fucking hell. What's going on here? And also, by the way, it says that lasted like a year or something. Ergonomic advisor, right? One, I'm just going to say that about that company. You already make the chairs. What, you've never brought anyone in before to go, is this even ergonomic and actually help your hands and your body and that? Or is this just fucking people up? Like, bruh, what? And then also, you're hiring someone who's just a bozo, as you'll find out in this. Before we get into all the good stuff, I'll just throw this out there. Remember a few years ago where if you posted anything contrary to the exact consensus at that moment in the medical community about a certain topic, it was labelled misinformation. It was implied you were potentially killing people and that you'd done an extremely terrible thing that you should potentially, in some countries, even go to jail or be like banned outright from the internet for. Well, you know what? If you were ever to use the search tool on her Twitter, you would actually find loads of misinformation over those years of things that now are known to categorically be false. And even though, yes, as a doctor, she has to do like, this is not medical advice in the Twitter, saying things that by the logic of her own statements later would actually imply that she'd done people great harm by suggesting things and recommending when she didn't know what the fuck she's talking about. And that is not her area of medicine, by the way. She's the one about whether your fucking wrist hurts, not about that particular topic. So yeah, just one I thought I'd throw out there in terms of the integrity of this individual, how much they actually present themselves as someone who knows what they don't. Then, how about this? I saw someone had a quote from the Handbook of Medicine, which even says, by the way, in part written by Dr. Lindsay Miglior. Oh, lordy. You see how already it gets interesting? Because you won't believe this, guys. She works for Evil Geniuses. She went from just being the one who does the massages and the wellness or whatever consultant up to like not only like senior director of performance and what gaming or whatever, but also is essentially, I've heard within the org, Nicole Lapointe-Jameson, the CEO, second in command, because essentially she just hired another woman, some other bozo who fuck all about esports. They all pretend and swag out that they're like geniuses and they know everything and everyone else is a fucking idiot in the industry. And because they're women, they're doing things people can't even comprehend. They make it sound like cause they're a woman, because of their like chromosomes and their fucking genitals, that the second they engage with esports, it's like esports goes from being like the scene in 2001 where we're all just like fucking apes, like brr, 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 and then we're just cracking with bones, and then suddenly by the time they come in, cause they're women, we're in the fucking Stargate like, oh my god, it's full of stars, I can't believe that they're blowing my mind. And then what they're actually doing is just shit like just hire another woman, just and then promote her to the top. Hey, women rule the day, girl power up. Give me a fucking break. So, okay, you won't believe it, but the foreword for this book was written by Nicole Lapointe-Jameson. What level of incestuous, like, fucking utter trash is this? Like, what is that? So someone who, by the way, later is your full boss in your job, wrote the foreword to your book. Fuck it. These are like every single grifter red flag, guys. This is exactly the LinkedIn scum nobody should want in esports. So, okay, let's go and read some of this shite that Nicole Lapointe-Jameson wrote. By the way, go watch my video about Evil Geniuses and Danny and what they did to their players. They essentially took a young player who repeatedly said after his first championship, like, I need a break, like, I don't know if I can keep playing. Then privately was telling him, like, I'm having all these problems. Like, I'm under a lot of stress. Like, I don't want to play in the playoffs. Then I don't want to play in this next match. Like, please let me not play. And basically, they were told behind the scenes by players, by coaching staff, by other people, like, they're not well. This isn't the way it is. Like, we've got to give them a break. We've got to sub them out. Some players were even like, let's just vote out now and sub them out and get someone else in to play the playoffs. They wouldn't do that. They apparently pushed them to the fucking limit. The CEO herself, who I'm about to read from, apparently took them into a room on their own and just sort of like convinced or coerced the person, like, and you're going to play, aren't you? Came out, played. Once he played the match that qualified them to Worlds, he broke down in tears while he was there on the desk instead of being celebratory. Never played another game ever for Evil Geniuses after that. Was subbed out with a bullshit emergency sub rule. And then after that, months and months of radio silence. No one knows what's going on. I've heard they were trying to shop his market on the contract, like trying to sell like a car that'll only make it like 2 miles down the road before it putters out, but you just hope it'll get down the road so you can trick the person who bought it. Like, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Selling some second-hand fucking car. And then what they did is, they came out with some bullshit story where he had to claim like, sorry guys, it was all my fault. Even though apparently behind the scenes, like when the family of this person had taken him to the doctors, they'd actually been found to be medically malnourished. And he even recommended, like, I'd even say, like, hospitalize you right now because you're really in bad shape right now. And when all this happened, they just gave him this bullshit streamer contract as part of their, like, EG Content Creator Collective. He started streaming Lost Ark, the game, not even the game he's famous for, League of Legends. And he hasn't streamed for months at the time I made this video. Months. So it was obviously, by the way, I've heard behind the scenes part of the cover-up. Also, the PA, the Players Association, did sweet fuck all about that. Still haven't published an investigation. And I've also heard, based on some of the things I've heard behind the scenes, they're part of the cover-up, along with Riot Games, who never addresses any of this shit. Oh, don't worry, they'll hound Reggie to the ends of the earth over being like a bit of a dickhead to someone. But when you actually wreck someone's mental and physical health, like her, GamerDoc, and Nicole Point Jameson are alleged to have, apparently that's just fine and dandy. I'm guessing because they're women, right? Yeah, brilliant. Carlos has to be cancelled for a tweet and his VCT slot taken away from his players and everyone in his org. But no, Evil Geniuses can do whatever they want. They've got carte blanche, haven't they? So, okay, let's read what Nicole Point Jameson had the gall to fucking write in this forward. But this is ludicrous, as player churn is high due to injury at a relatively young age compared to traditional sports. Eye strain, carpal tunnel, psychological lack of support, the list goes on. Oh, like happened in your org after this to your young star player, the Prince of Pentacles, who you were billing as this like next talent of the pipeline, and we don't know, and then you let that happen to him, but you're the one bragging about how that's a big problem and how this woman is going to fucking solve that. We all do ourselves a disservice to the development of the esports space. Yeah, no shit. No, we don't. I haven't. I actually had to fight against fuckers like you and be called a liar by tens of thousands of people before Richard Lewis's report came out, before more things came out to corroborate what I said and what I'd investigated. And by the way, do I ever fucking miss? Nah, I don't ever miss, mate. It's like a targeted ability when I fucking fire. Understand that, homie. So then we all do ourselves. It's a systemic. No, it isn't. It's you. It's you and her. They're the fucking people literally doing these things based on what I've investigated. If we just get rid of you, then there is no problem. We can get rid of the other fuckers who do it too, but it isn't that we're all doing a disservice. No, you're doing a disservice. And even worse, you have the gall to fucking lecture us condescendingly. You have to patronize us about how it's a problem, as you then turn around and go, fuck him. If he dies, he dies. Get him in the game. What's that? He can't ever play League of Legends again. Don't let him just retire and take the L. How about try and sell him like a fraud? Oh, I know. Just assign more money. You're firing other people, by the way. Daughter, people like they're getting fired because they're on too big salaries, even though they're a world-class team. No, let's just throw a bunch of money at him. Throw money at him and the family to make it go away. You are fucking disgusting, you people. So there we go. We also do a horrendous disservice to the humans. My God, how dare you mention humans and like how you treated these like cattle in a fucking slaughterhouse that you're just harvesting the meat from, and you give a fuck about their life or how they were treated, who have put all into their sport and have sacrificed their future to excel today. This guy sacrificed his future just to get you guys to Worlds, just to give you guys a fake something later and make it look like you're geniuses who developed a pipeline. And as you'll find out from GamerDoc's tweets later, bills herself constantly as someone who understands work-life balance and grind culture, and we've got to be understanding of people. These are the most fraudulent, two-faced pieces of shit in years. These people are ridiculous. They've got more faces than that fucking shit back in the day in fucking Transformers cartoon where it had like 7 heads or whatever. It was like spinning around like, and they would talk like, you'll know what I'm talking about if you're actually old school or not. Then let's go to the second part. My player athletes are not assets for me. How dare you? for lifting trophies or building brands. That's absolutely what they are to Nicole LaPointe Jameson. They are unique and diverse human beings. Remember, they only mean diverse in the most literal physical sense. Who have trusted me. Yeah, you're right. Who have trusted me to help them develop, grow, and fulfill their ambitions. They come from all walks of life, all genders, all sexual orientations, all creeds. No, so that's what it's all about. All walks of life's fine, but it's only about you have to have all the genders, you have to have all the sexuality, you have to have all the creeds. And for me to be nimble in their holistic support is an absolute most holistic. The whole human body and everything connected together, the mind and the body and the soul and like the well-being and the physical. Fuck these people. They talk a big game and then do absolutely fucking nothing, worse than nothing. They actually like potentially injure the person while talking about how they're the only ones who like, I've nourished his soul. Like, live, eat, pray, Danny. Do this, man. You're just an absolute fucking joke. And then it goes down here. But I am not a medical expert. And the resources for me to do this do not exist. Well, don't worry, because it doesn't seem actually like GamerDoc's a bloody medical expert. And even though she has the resources, her talent or ability to do this appears to not exist. But that wouldn't matter to you because she's your right-hand woman. Like, I even helped flaunt the gender roles by saying right-hand woman instead of man because you also attack language morons like you, right? This is known by your wonderful authors. Now, what do you think before you read the rest? What else is she going to say after about the authors? What's the first thing? Like very qualified, pioneers in their field? No. By your wonderful authors, a diverse, intelligent, and progressive group of doctors. So it's about being diverse and progressive. Those are the two of the top three qualities listed by this person for these authors to have to be qualified to teach us all, us dum-dums in esports, about the holistic way to like heal and develop players and make sure they don't burn out and retire early and understand the human being. Then it goes, group of doctors, physical therapists, personal trainers, and researchers. Now it's important for someone to do research to be diverse. Like now, you can't just take someone and go, are you really good at research? Oh, wait a second, sorry. You're the same skin color and sexual orientation as the other guy, so I'm going to need a different researcher in here. Now, just to look stuff up, you need to have a special background in some way. Who deeply know the interconnectedness of the human body, mind, and output. Do they? Is that what happened in this case? You'll find out some other very good stories in a minute. Their sacrifice and focus to provide a guiding text. Oh, this is like an angel revealing a holy book to a mystic who's out in the desert for days after days, fasting, seeing God, experiencing the transcendent. Yeah, the guiding text. Like, people, I tell you what, you'll never be able to truly understand the body, the mind, and the output and the holistic approach unless you've read this guiding text. This will be the fucking lighthouse by which we steer our ships on the stormy seas of esports medicine towards a safe heart. Get the fuck out of my face, you absolute grifters. You shameless grifters. It's just words. There's nothing behind it. You're just frauds. That will create a sturdy foundation for the prosperity of the esports industry and their athletes should matter to more than just team owners. Yeah, damn right. It should matter to everyone, but apparently everyone else doesn't give a flying fuck because they daren't attack you for it. Don't worry though. I'm your huckleberry. Don't worry about that one. So this person has a job at Evil Geniuses. Now, they only joined on the 7th of October 2021 as wellness and performance consultant. As in, like, you ask them sometimes, you do a little bit. It's like a part-time job, basically. They started all the way down there. I've heard for real they were the sort of person that might tell you about, like, exercise, stretching. Then, within something mad, like a few months, they'd been promoted all the way up to essentially second in command, taking big decisions on like rosters, how they practice, other games, telling people they'll fire them, all by the Nicole LaPointe Jameson, completely inept fucking idiot. By the way, I saw that Slack message about how you're preparing for your charity boxing match with me. Really? Are you, homie? Is that what the joke is internally, is it? Well, you know what? I don't need to do physical boxing with people. I go metaphorically on the internet, and right now, this is basically Iron Mike Tyson's punch out, right? And you're not even getting past level 1. So, okay, they got promoted. They're the physio position to vice president within one split of League of Legends. And I've heard behind the scenes, this is what it was described as, because she said the right things to the right people in power. This is someone who was described internally. I have all the sources. I have people who work there now. I have people who used to work there. I have people who worked there before her time. I know them all, mate. And they all come because of how obnoxious this person is and tell me all this shit. They said this person is really hard to work with. By the way, the opposite of what that particular job should be. People internally think that her title, the director of it, means nothing, and she just got it from Nicole, her mate. The implication for real is she either does nothing or it's pure incompetence. Like, she either does nothing and takes credit for it, or when she actually does intervene, she just fucks it all up. People hate working with her. They actually think she's limited their success in a bunch of different games. She's been involved with people having mental stress, feeling like they want to quit, wanting to go to other... I've even heard people have left these orgs over Nicole and GamerDoc, by the way, and gone to other organizations purely because of that, even when they'd had success internally and were offered contracts and they wanted to be... The org wanted to keep them. This is, by the way, someone who... In 2020, so keep it in mind, before 2021, where she publishes the handbook thing, even said on Twitter that they're the wrong type of doctor to explain stress, but that she knows about skin rashes. Now, obviously, that's a little bit like she's just having a joke, isn't she, there? It's a little bit facetious, but actually she's explaining that she's not someone who's like a sports psychology trainer or whatever. She's not someone who knows about that side. Now, it's pretended in the book that they can do all of it, the holistic. No, she knows about skin rashes. She knows about like what you do with your arms and you get, I've got a little bit of a rash there. This is someone who's so overinflated in terms of their job, their ability, everything they pretend to be, because they pretend to be it. This is also someone I heard internally would take other people's ideas, champion them so they'd all think, brilliant, like my ideas are going somewhere, we're doing so, and then take credit for everything that worked for them. And then that person would be let go or fired or just their contract not reviewed not that long afterwards. And you realise, wait a minute. So you mean when they were championing them, they actually were just stealing my ideas, presenting them as theirs, and then because I didn't get any credit, I don't even get to stay working there anymore, I'm just let go, and everyone thinks she's the genius. By the way, the only type of person in a company who does that is someone who knows and is insecure about their own ability and knows they're not good enough. So they have to steal someone else's, because otherwise what you do is go, look, one of my people who I work with, this guy here, he's actually come up with this thing here, I think it's a great idea, I would approve of it. You get it done, you get your credit for like helping your staff, sourcing it. No, you had to steal it and pretend it's your idea, is basically what I heard. I've heard that when they won that spring title with Danny and Jojo in spring of last year, 2022, this was spun internally as a win for her, for the GamerDoc. She's the reason they won it. And then also, this is a scumbag. I've heard internally, this is someone who would guarantee people their jobs. Like, don't worry, like it's all going to be okay. And then they just do a call with the person. Like, sorry about that. We're going to have to let you go. Like, we're not going to renew the contract. Sorry, you're fired. Like, it's up. Sorry. Ching. I'm doing a great job with people's mental health and strain and definitely not treating them like assets. So give me a fucking break. It gets worse though, because this isn't just someone doing skin rashes and exercise, which is like, how much harm could that really do, you'd hope? This is one of the key decision makers in Evil Geniuses. This is someone involved in hirings, contract negotiations, and running teams. These are the things I've heard. On the CSGO side, don't worry, I've got all the sources. On the CSGO side, this is the quote. I heard she essentially took control of the rosters. A CSGO player at one point in time said, she was our boss and she didn't know anything about CS. I'll get to that later. She was the main voice of what was happening. She prevented us from doing stuff with the team that would have made us contenders potentially. In EG, they had multiple teams, right? I've heard with one of these teams, she came in, all she did for them is just give them like a big like spiel about the philosophy of the team and what we're going to do. Didn't do anything else to do with the team. But then I think it was EG White, when they qualified for the Melbourne LAN, which by the way, they qualified for by beating Team 1, a small Brazilian org, ATK, nobody's in NA. That's all you had to do. And they're massive Evil Geniuses, salaries, resources. When they qualified, she basically took credit for it and made it sound like it was her who did all that and that she was the reason. But by the way, then when they went to the Melbourne event, they finished in last place. They lost to Entropic, who hadn't been good for ages at that point in time, and Wings Up, a Chinese team you had never heard of till I just said Wings Up, a Chinese team. You didn't even know before I said a Chinese team who the fuck Wings Up were or what country they came from. These are the teams beating Evil Geniuses squads that she takes credit for. Because a theme you'll notice with her tweets later is she takes all the credit for wins and she takes none of the credits for losses, and half the time never mentions them, memory holes them, they don't exist, even though you'll see from her own advice, it's key to own up to losses and you shouldn't take the credit unless you can take the blame. Just get ready. The later part of this video is pure comedy, but it's also quite tragic when you consider the power and influence this person has in esports. Then let's go to League of Legends, the side where they won the split and they were obviously making it to Worlds and they went to MSI. Boy, everything must be fine and dandy in that game. Nah, here's some more quotes for you. I'm a believer that GamerDoc is a fraud, and I don't understand how she magically became a higher up in EG. Well, now you watch the video, you'll know how, mate. Then there's this thing where I heard internally, because they used to have 3 teams in EG. They had the LCS team, then they had an academy team that was like the NACL one or whatever, and then they had like an amateur team, I think it was the Prodigies or whatever. That's the one that actually Danny came from, not from the academy team, Philip Aram. Now, I heard that what would happen is they'd have the academy team scrim the amateur team, and that sounds like similar level, right? No, I've heard the amateur team was way worse than the academy team because this bozo doesn't understand anything about league or esports. They just think, right, it's fine that you two just practice each other. And then when they'll be practicing, she was designing fucked up concepts like, right, we're going to do a bunch of blitz scrims, which are ones where you play the first 10 minutes and you control the draft and set up certain scenarios to practice different situations. Like, remember, thinks she's like a genius, pioneer. Now she's pioneering how to practice and fucking draft. So she's like the coach genius now, the handbook of esports medicine for coaching. So you ready? I heard there was an academy player who was complaining because he was being forced to play an unplayable matchup and the other team was already so bad that it was just absolutely worthless. It's like, what am I getting out of this? This doesn't help in any way. And he got so tilted that he inted some scrims. So the GamerDoc called him out. When he then got upset at being called out because he's just wasting his time playing an impossible scenario that she still doesn't know anything about league, so she doesn't understand how impossible it is, and got upset and said basically she doesn't understand the game, she started, are you ready, screaming at him to listen to her because she is his boss and how she would trade him to a different team if she had the power to. So already we're getting literal abuse of your employees. We're getting actually making fucking threats. You don't do this, I'll just fucking trade you. If you don't play this impossible match, I'm your boss. Literally just walked in the door 5 fucking minutes ago. I'm your boss and I'll ship your ass out of here. But then in that handbook, we shouldn't treat them as assets. We should treat them holistically. It's the mind, the body and the output. Like, give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. The real problem is you don't mind evil geniuses getting bodied and the output is just fucking money for you and attention, you cretin. Bars. Get me all fucking grind time, even though it hasn't been around for 20 years. GamerDoc, oh, love it. Even the players who thought she was all right, there was a couple who were like, I didn't have any problems with her, I didn't really deal with her. Some of them even would tell me though, but I was really shocked by the tweet she did towards Kassad, which we'll get to soon. And then also, if you're in charge of the wellness consultant, but then you become like the GamerDoc, and you're like the director of performance, oh, good news. That Danny situation happened on her watch. And I've heard like she was one of the people in theory should be involved and people were telling her about some of this stuff. And no, didn't do anything. Never went public with it. It's never addressed it publicly in that sense. Or he ever made it sound like it was just something that happened completely void of her, but was taking credit for all his wins in the pipeline. Don't worry about all that. Then, I point this out recently, the reason Richard Lewis had a bunch of amazing articles that are still coming out is, I'm going to guess a similar source sent me and him the motherload of stuff. It's how I know that thing about the boxing match. They sent him all sorts of internal stuff because there are good people in all esports companies and orgs, and they know they can't say anything and they don't have the skill set or the platform to, and sometimes they want to keep their job, but they also want to get rid of or expose scumbags. So these people, and these are some of the heroes of esports, by the way. Yeah, they didn't have the courage to come up themselves because of their situation, but they had the courage to risk their job and send us information and actually let us know what the fuck these people are doing behind closed doors and what they say in private in these WhatsApp groups and all Slack and all. They help us out. Me and Richard Lewis need people like that. These are the unsung heroes of esports, by the way. So I've heard some of the things from that document that are mad. Here's a good one. Most people in the gaming department are great, except Lindsay. There were layoffs in Evil Geniuses, despite team managers being told, get your housing sorted by this particular date. You got to get your housing sorted, get your contract signed. And then they'd get the contract signed, got laid off anyway, after you signed the contract, after you shit out a lock, up shit's creek with no fucking paddle. I've also heard that for a certain game, someone was repeatedly requesting, we need a mental health professional. We need a mental health professional. The first time it's just ignored. The second time, it was only granted because already that Danny situation had come out in public and it had gone so badly that you don't want to set up for another one of those, do you? That's who these people are. They only do it when it's to cover their arse or to stop them getting fucked up or to offset and do some damage control ahead of the fact. Not because they care about the players, not because they care about mental health. You'll see later on, this person actively tries to fuck with people's mental health on social media. Oh, by the way, this individual is on the advisory board of the Coalition of Parents in Esports since March 2022. Now, in the context now, this person mistreated someone's child. Someone's fucking child. This is outrageous. Other people's children, she just mistreated them. She's treating them like shit. Sometimes physically they're suffering, mentally they're suffering. They get really upset just in practice. She's telling them, I'll fucking sell you. How dare you? I'm your boss. And by the way, I'll just put this out there. Why the fuck is anyone on a coalition of parents in esports who isn't a parent? What the fuck? How absurd is America? What a stupid fucking country. Do you want to know one of the genius ideas under her administration, her and Nicole, that they did in CSGO? Because one team was doing badly, they just signed 2 more and simultaneously had 3 teams. By the way, spoiler, is there any results really to talk about? Nah, especially not for the main team. Get ready, that's going to be amazing. When you consider her job, probably the worst ever publicly at her job in terms of results, ever. Then there was that video I did about what a clown org they are in CSGO before, and how they treated other people like Malek and all this. Then a player, Nicole had said all this stuff earlier about like racism's unacceptable. She had to treat with it. She was going to vet people. And then I showed that one of the players hired under these people's regime actually had said a bunch of racially insensitive / some people would call them slurs years earlier that were just still on their Twitter account, on the actual account that they're in Evil Geniuses on. When I brought this out, there was 0 comment publicly, 0 behaviour publicly. They never even denounced it or said they were going to do anything. And he was not in any way punished or fined. Nothing like that. He just kept playing. It's all fine and dandy. Because the esports industry doesn't give a shit about what you do or say. They care about who you are and specifically certain tick boxes that you have. If you have the right ones, you pass. It's like the reverse version of that fucking meme from Family Guy. If you have the wrong ones, you will be persecuted like a fucking heretic under the Spanish Inquisition. Put to the question and then fucking publicly executed, metaphorically, in a video game Minecraft on Twitch TV. So then how about this? Evil Geniuses as a team, before these people's regime, used to have one of the best teams in the world. In fact, even in 2020, with Zeus as their coach, they were like a top 3 team in the world. They were dominating NA, shitting on everyone. They're an org that's always had money. You probably heard in CSGO, people like Breezy and Circle still making enormous money while they're having these terrible results. So what do you do with that money? Do you sign the good players? Because I heard at one point, Valde turned down starlust to join EG. Fucked him over, of course, never signed him. I've heard NAF wanted to leave Team Liquid and come to this squad to play with some of those players. Not for you, for some of these players. Didn't bother getting that deal done either. Like, last second, changed their mind. Zeus, one of the best coaches of all time. I think a GOAT contender. They never gave him the resources. Eventually, he was just let go. Malek, they brought in and then immediately snaked to put all their eggs into the Stewie 2K 2022 basket. What? These people know nothing about fucking esports. And recently, you'll see later when they brag about the pipeline and development NA talent, or they were willing to cut their whole team of NA players and not promote people from the other squads. The original plan in this off-season was to sign loads of fucking Russian players, for real, who were already established, top Russian players, and Elige, the most decorated, greatest NA CSGO player of all time. And the same year, early in 2023, you're bragging about a pipeline of talent that you're developing and your blueprint and all that. Give me a if that's your blueprint, then I'm fucking Naz, and this is ether, homie, because I'm bodying you right now. This is fucking ridiculous. But then when that didn't work out, and don't worry, I'll save this for a different show or video. I know why it didn't work out, and it's so fucking incompetent and insane for what the public reason is, but no one else knows it. Then I'll come out with it later. But when it didn't work out, they then pivoted to pretending we're going to get this NA talent or develop it and put them in the main team. And now they've just got another, I think, underwhelming team. Maybe this one actually has some slightly better NA players that can win a few matches. It's not going to be a top team. It's going to be another bum-ass team thanks to bombs like this making some of the decisions and helping the practice and limiting them being contenders, as one of their own players said. So let's get into the performance / results. You know, what her job would be judged on and what she takes credit for. Literally in her job title and overview. Right, she joined the position as the full-time Director of Player Performance on the 6th of January 2022. So that's what we're going to judge them on. And I'm going to talk about CSGO now, because that was where she famously bragged, and that's where we got a lot of attention in CSGO, and that's one of the reasons we're all doing these responses video, that we even know she exists, for fuck's sake. Because obviously from the performance, you'd never know they had anyone working with them in that sense. Maybe she's like the Haitian from fucking, what was it, like Heroes back in the day. Her superpower is just to inhibit everyone else's abilities and powers around her. It certainly seems like it. So I'm only going to judge from when she took the job full time, right? Since she took over full time, here's the record of Evil Geniuses. They are 51 to 87, I'm guessing in terms of like matches / maps. So, and that means online and offline. So 51 won, 87 lost. So that's a 36.96% win rate. Let's go to LAN though, because all I care about is LAN, right? On LAN, 23 won, 55 lost. So that's 29.49% win rate on LAN. That is appalling for an org this size. It's appalling for any org that plays that sample size. Think how many maps I just described. That's what, like 78 maps. Then let's go to best of 3 series on LAN, the true test of elite competition in Counter-Strike. So since she took over, they have won 5 best of 3 series on LAN, and they have lost 23. So that is a 21.74% win rate. Except, let's look at the 5 wins, shall we? Let's see how good they are. One is against Party Astronauts, who were ranked number 38 in the world, and this was at the PGL Americas RMR, the shittiest RMR of all time, where bombs get into the major. That lineup, by the way, later was just signed by EG, 38th in the world. Then there was a win against Eternal Fire in ESL Pro League Season 16. They were ranked number 29 in the world, and they immediately changed their lineup after this loss. Then, in the same tournament, they won against Movistar Riders, who were ranked number 5 in the world. Wow, that's good. But they were ranked number 5 because of their Cologne run with St. Pius to start AWPA, who wasn't in the team anymore. They were playing a guy who I think was like his first big LAN with them, a rookie AWPA called like Martinez or something. Then you had their win over 9Z at the Rio RMR, who were ranked number 56 in the world at the time by HLTV. But then you have the one lone impressive result, which was in the first match of the next season, the beginning of this year, in Blast Spring Groups, they beat Heroic, the number 1 ranked team in the world, in a best of 3 in the opener. Yeah, I won't even take anything away from that. I'll give it full credit. That is an impressive win. That is legit. There's one meaningful, for a team of the size of EG, one meaningful best of 3 LAN win since the beginning of 2022. It is now July 2023, guys. This is fucking absurd levels of shit performance by someone whose whole job is your performance, directing them and taking on the general direction of the gaming organization. It's no wonder no one likes everyone in gaming doesn't like her, right? Fucking hell. Then let's keep going with the accolades, shall we? Under her watch, they failed to qualify for PGL Antwerp Major. They failed to qualify for the Blast Paris Major, the last ever CSGO one. They finished last place at 3 straight Blast Premier group stages, which is where, as a partner team, they get to start. All 3, last place 3 times. Straight. Then, in ESL Pro League, they're also Louvre Agreement teams, so they're in ESL Pro League. They finished last place in 2 out of 3 seasons. And then, at 2 of the big events of IEM, there was IEM Katowice, massive event, last place, and IEM Dallas recently, last place, on home soil, that one. Then how about this? In 12 LANs attended, and I'm counting RMRs, Evil Geniuses on her watch has finished last place in 7 out of the 12. Of the 5 where they didn't finish last place, 3 of them were America's RMRs, where it's almost impossible with the money and players they have to finish last place. It should be almost impossible. So there's 3 out of the 5 that weren't last place, was just America's RMRs. Then you go and look at the RMRs where they didn't finish last place. Are you ready for who they beat? So at the PGL Antwerp, America's RMR, where they finished 8th place, didn't qualify. They lost to Pain Gaming, number 37 in the world. They beat 9Z in a BO1, 45th in the world. They beat 00 Nation, number 73 in the world. They lost to Team Liquid, number 14 in the world. Used to be a real rival of theirs that they could actually compete with. They beat Party Astronauts, the team, like I say, later they signed, and that was one of the best of 3s, number 38 in the world. And then they lost to 9Z, who they beat in the best of one. In the best of three, they lost to 9Z, number 45 in the world, in 3 maps. Okay, that's one of your better results. Then you go to the other RMR where they didn't finish last, right? IM Rio, America's RMR. They beat Nouns. You barely even could name 3 of the players off that team. Number 44 in the world. They beat them in a BO1. They beat Furia, number 7 in the world in a BO1. That's legit. 16-14, of course. Then they beat 9Z, number 56 in the world now. 2-1 in a best of 3. Then they lost to Team Liquid, number 4 in the world. 2-0, of course. Of course. Of course. It's Team Liquid. Then you go, how about the other RMR? Because that Rio one was the one where they actually qualified. They came second because of that bullshit. Then, at the Americas RMR for Blast Paris, where they did not qualify, they finished second to last. I was talking about finished last. This is second to last at an RMR. They beat Imperial with Washed Up Fallen, 16-12, number 28th best team in the world. They lost to Furia, number 11th best team in the world, 13-16, BO1. They lost to Paqueta, number 84 in the world, in 3 maps. And that's it. They weren't even, by the way, supposed to be at that RMR. They'd failed online to qualify, but because another team couldn't attend, they got to step in and take the spot and still blew the chance. And by the way, why didn't they qualify? Because online, they lost to Team 1, number 45 in the world. They beat Mythic, 99 in the world. They lost to MIBR, 25 in the world. They beat Vendetta, 76 in the world. They beat Rain, 153 in the world. And then they lost to Yor, 204 in the world. Do you understand how insanely bad these fucking results are in general, but especially for the context of how big the AG org is, how much some of the players have played, how the history of some of the players, some of the people who wanted to join this team if this idiot didn't fumble the fucking bag, as it were. On her watch, they finished last or second to last at 9 of the 12 lands they attended, and 1 was the only major they made it to. Last or second to last. So then let's get into how I even discovered this individual exists and why this video exists. So what happened was, because Kassad had applied to join this org, and apparently you do that thing where you do loads of interviews and you keep coming back for round 2, round 3, and behind the scenes he's being told that, oh, it's really going well, like I'm pretty sure you're gonna get in there, like we like the things you're talking about, come back for more interviews. You have an interview with bozos like this who know nothing. They don't know who Kassad is. Kassad is a guy, by the way, who when he was working with Mouse Spots in 2016, took a team that never did anything in big playoffs and took them to top 4 at fucking E-League Season 1. Then he went and worked with the Aussies, the Renegades team, with Jacob, etc. Now, when he had NAF, he won a fucking Star Series over Virtus Pro. And then as the coach of Renegades, when they had Jacob, and it was JKS and all those guys, he actually managed to get them, not only to top 8 of a major in 2019, at the other one, he got them to the semi-finals of the fucking World Championship. This guy is one of the best coaches, especially for underdog teams that we've ever seen in this game. So he then did a tweet where, because they're doing so badly in the game, he says, can't wait for mandatory BS tweet from Evil Geniuses. Doesn't even tag the game. What are you even talking about her? How this isn't the result they hoped for, but they are super proud of team's progress and looking forward to great things in 2023. She then has the goal to reply directly to him. And are you ready for what she says? This is insane. Wow. Seems like your overwhelming enthusiasm about our program has waned in only a few months. But I suppose people say anything in interviews. So basically, she's now leaking that in his interview, he had a lot of enthusiasm about the program and what he could accomplish there. Yeah, with him there, you fucking moron. Not just like, oh, you don't even need me. And without me, I'm very enthusiastic that you'll just fucking kill the game, Lindsay Migliore. You have pioneered esports medicine. You will heal everything. You are the panacea that will heal all, cure all ills. Like, fucking hell. What an absolutely unprofessional, unethical thing that is to do, to leak that, by the way, and go, suppose people say anything in it. So now you're implying he's a liar. He's two-faced and a liar, even though what he says in context makes absolute sense. You've just outed yourself as a scumbag. Why would anyone interview to join this org after this, by the way? So then after that, don't worry, it keeps going. Because then he replies to a tweet from Blair, and he goes, she said something about, like, I was being obsessed with her or whatever. White men being obsessed with her. He goes, it's true that I have a thing for incompetent, egotistical and delusional women. Must be really nice being around you. Every man's dream. She goes, you don't have to get so emotional. And he goes, you didn't have to be racist or ageist, because I'll show you that tweet in a second, but here we are. Now, here's what's mental. She makes a ridiculous statement like that, like, oh, men are obsessed with me. And then he goes like, well, yeah, I'm obsessed with like egotistical idiots. And he's going, don't get so emotional. There's the other thing. Can you imagine what it's like to work for this person? This sort of fucking gaslighting. These are the cretins who go, men need to be more emotional and just say what they're feeling, which is just like, I'm a predator. All fucking prey should just come into my trap so I can eat them up like a Venus flytrap. Because then when you do it, they go, oh, look at your fucking emotions, little fragile man. Oh, you're crying. Let me catch your tears. White man's tears. My favourite fucking beverage. What is this? The fucking nectar of the gods. Delicious, isn't it? Then I did a tweet where, because of that insane thing she's just tweeted, I put Evil Geniuses is a dog shit organisation. Haven't I sort of shown that, guys? Filled with idiots like this. She replies to me, don't worry, before doing you know what hypocrites always do when they're then the sort of people who would complain later. But let's get to that. Everyone at EG, every time you tweet, I didn't even know this person existed till I tweet. Everyone at EG, every time you tweet about us, why are you so obsessed with me? By the way, even the sort of movie she's quoting from there is her sort of shit heel little way of their brain works. Everything's just shitty Reddit snark, Chandler being like, I don't know, Monica. There's nothing going on there. It's all pure shite. It's exactly the reason why you'd never want to live in like San Francisco, by the way, if you don't know. That's what these cretins do. Like, oh, we're just obsessed with her. Let's see later in this video who's obsessed with who and who even knew the other one fucking existed, you cretin. So then there we go. Let's get into it. That was the little highlights. But now let's go piece by piece and see what an utterly ridiculous human being this is and what an absolute like fraud. They're so pretentious, a poser, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing at their job, even brags about it inadvertently, tells on themselves repeatedly. All these morons can't shut the fuck up, so they just tell on themselves, as you'll see. So let's start out. In 2021, before they took over full time, when you get to know someone, do you know their reputation or have you seen their true character? Reputations can be created, advertised, marketed, and doesn't always match up with character, right? First of all, the sentence doesn't even make sense grammatically. But also, yeah, I agree. Reputations can be created, advertised, marketed, and they don't always match up with someone's character, what they're actually like, or even their performance level at their job, as I've sort of displayed in your case, right, love? Here's one, same month. One of the reasons our country is so fundamentally and vehemently politically divided is that we are equally bad at stating our opinions without being offensive, as we are hearing other people's opinions without being offended. Did she live up to that? Did she fuck? When you're in a professional situation and someone makes a bold claim, ask for details. Too many people in this space overstating their own role in things, spreading misinformation, or just passing on what they heard in a random Discord. Right? The idea she has the gall to talk about people overstating their own role in things in terms of some of the things I've said before, or just the existence of her job title and the actual factual results of the team, and then later bragging about the odd win is fucking mental. You'll see this person has zero self-awareness, isn't at all reflective, and never gets that they're the shit heel, that they're the fucking moron in the scenario. In April 25 of 2022, oh, look at this. Evil Geniuses makes the LCS finals. So what's the brag? Coincidence that the two teams who made it to LCS finals both have multiple full-time performance staff, bigging up herself for the humble brag there. Well, what I'd say to that is this. Maybe it's not a coincidence, but then logically, if you take credit for that, then when we see that Danny's completely destroyed later, that player in the academy squad just couldn't handle it, then we see later on that like CSGO people are saying like she took credit and didn't do anything and also she's the reason why we're not, then we have to say that it's because you have multiple full-time performance staff that's going on. It's because you have multiple full-time performance staff that Danny was destroyed and now will never play League of Legends professionally again, right? That's how the logical scenario works if you're going to take credit for it, love. In January the 8th, 2022, remember, the tweets are at the end of 2022 about how I'm obsessed with them, etc. I didn't even know she existed. Meanwhile, what's going on her Twitter way before I ever knew she existed? I opened my sanitizer on the plane and it exploded into the eye of a woman in the middle seat. And then I had to sit next to her for 5 hours. No, other way around. She had to sit next to you after you'd exploded the fucking shit in her eyes. But it's all about you. That's the problem. It's how awkward you'd feel that she's annoyed that you squirted some shit in her eyes. That might sting. And then she puts, I am esports, my famous quote, right? So already I'm in her fucking head and I'm someone that's just being used. And you'll see it gets ridiculous. Same thing again. 7th of January now. This happened, that I am esports thing happened at the end of 2021, right? I've started saying I am esports whenever I do the bare minimum, and I really think you should too. The implication there, by the way, is I've done the bare minimum in my career. Yeah, I said I'm esports. She's someone who's only even gotten the gig Around this time, like a day earlier, she's got her first full-time job in esports. Before that, she's just like a consultant, and then she's writing bollocks on Kevin MD years before about like ninjas, the most popular athlete in the world. And like, since I wrecked my wrist on this fucking hockey bag, I've decided to pioneer esports medicine. Meanwhile, I have been a professional since 2021. I've worked 8 world championships in Counter-Strike, something like 73 LAN tournaments. I was on American TV. I was even on Inside the NBA and Burnt Shack. I have written thousands of articles, news posts. I have done thousands, maybe tens of thousands of interviews, talk shows. I have been someone who works as a creative director for Flashpoint. I have helped so many players with their contracts. I have exposed scumbags like this. I have entertained for years. I've worked in many different esports games as one of the best in my field. I have fostered talent, including many women and people that they would consider diverse, but I just did it because they were good at their fucking job and had potential. Oh no, because, let's check the little checkbox, my skin colour is white, I'm a man, and I don't in any way present as some alternative gender or sexuality, so logically, I have never done anything in my career. I have done the bare minimum. In fact, it's even sort of implied with that thinking that because they said, oh yeah, let's check out white skin, dick, only wants to fuck women, oh, you know what? Just give him his job. Give him it all. Give him it all. Meanwhile, it's you that got given it all. You were the one joining for skin rashes and fucking things. Oh, I'm fucked up my wrist. Can I help you? Your wrist. You don't know anything about your wrist getting fucked, people in esports. Then Nicole Punch jumps at your promote this woman. Promote her to the fucking top, like the Hudsucker proxy or something. Put her to the top, baby. You're going to the top, kid. The kid stays in the film. Like, you're the one who had that. You did the bare fucking minimum. At your job, director of performance, you have done the bare fucking minimum. / you have inhibited and crippled your fucking teams. Hence why they have some of the worst win percentages ever in the history of esports in the game like CSGO, a major game you're going to brag about later. And then they go down here, more about that. Changed the light bulb and broadly proclaimed from atop my precarious stool that I am, in fact, esports. Then go down here. Someone says, I only do this when I make no impact on something, so I can still sound important. They can't even be honest. She goes, you are esports. Someone else goes, I say it whenever I accomplish anything in a single player game. Then she goes, still better usage than its origin. Right, so anyone who accomplishes anything in a single player game is actually more like esports. They embody esports more than me in my career. Do you see what an actual piece of shit this individual is? How they don't care about anyone's mental health or truth or like showing their character matches up to what they believe. And you'll see later some of the things she just fucking proclaims about. And we should be kind and respectful and we should be able to hear each other's opinions without being offensive. This person just picks people to hate on like a motherfucker. And if they weren't the checkboxes they have, you'd never be allowed to do this in this job. You would be reprimanded, fined, you would be benched, you'd be probably should be fired in the right orgs, by the way, for this sort of behaviour. It doesn't stop. Then, February, we're not even a month in at this point in time, made a patch to let people know my opinion is infallible and definitely not based on last month's events. I is esports. They're not even funny or entertaining. That's one of the worst things about this. I can take better if it's funny. This is just shite. No self-awareness here. 11th of January. As a lifelong die-hard Lions fan, I'm a bit concerned about being an EG fan now, as I'm not sure what it's like to win. That's in January 11th, 2022. Spoiler, we're in July 2023 now, and people still don't really know what it means to win as an EG fan. The joke is, you have made them into the Detroit Lions. You have millions and millions of dollars, but you don't know who to sign, and you fuck up all your deals, right? This is beautiful. Get ready for how much they know about League of Legends as they're destroying the mental of players in their team. League peeps. I'm putting on my big girl pants. This is the same split where EG wins LCS. I'm putting on my big girl pants and moving off a locked cam. Shh, don't think about the past. The future is what's important. I want to smash everything and I hate it. What's the play here? ARAM? Practice mode? Quit forever? Right? She's now thinking of moving from having the locked cam. If you don't know, that's one of the most noob mistakes ever in League, is to keep playing with the locked cam. Because obviously it just stays on. You need to be able to move it around, look at all this. This is insane. And she's bragging about it like that. In the same split, they're going to win the split. And she's having like saying what people do in practice. And she just got her job, by the way, like a week earlier or something. Then this one's so absurd, the lack of self-awareness on this one. This is how you know these people have a circle of yes men who never tell them what's going on if they look like an arsehole. Follow-up tweet. This has made me really think this is her career in a nutshell, thinking she's a genius when she just like eventually invented a shitty version of the wheel. Has anyone ever tried binding their active items to a mouse button? I'll just leave that for the League players. If you don't get it, I'll just say don't worry about it. We won't explain everything. If you're a League player, you know what I mean by this. Now, she's someone you'll see repeatedly, always preaches like get the right sleep, like proper nutrition, exercise. A few weeks after being hired, there's nothing like eating an entire pizza on your couch while watching video games and then opening our Instagram to see glorious workout selfies of Jess Brohard and Erin A. Simon. Okay? Seems like you don't practice what you preach. Even if you do, by the way, eat your whole pizza, like, you'd go ahead and say, like, obviously, I do keep a strict diet and this is just my one cheat meal. No, you'd make sure that, you just wouldn't say it at all because, practice what you preach, live, embody the example, what you want to show so that then your athletes under you can go, well, I can see that they do that and okay, majorly privately they do, but I have to understand that this is like between me and accountability. No, you'll see repeatedly, she doesn't practice what she preaches. Well, you know what? Physician, heal thyself. What's more annoying? When you can't locate that loose hair under your shirt and it keeps itching you, or when people complain about all women's tournaments. I'll tell you what's more annoying, if you asked me, would probably be the way the country of Saudi Arabia treats women who live there, and also people of other persuasions who live there, and what they do to them, and how they treat them, and what they're allowed to do. That seems a lot more annoying than a loose hair, or people complain about an all-women's tournament. And what's that about Evil Geniuses? Evil Geniuses plays in ESL tournaments owned by the Savvy Gaming Group of the Public Investment Fund of literally the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where the leader of Saudi Arabia, of the royal family, is like the chairman or like director of that and says he's actively involved in a hands-on manner. That seems very hypocritical. That just seems like you don't really care actually about women's rights whatsoever or women's treatment whatsoever. Also, not only are you playing in an ESL tournament, but up until recently you were trying to qualify for Gamers 8, a tournament to be held in Saudi Arabia that everyone's not even going to because it's ESL. But no, it isn't. It's just because it's got mega bucks. Oh, and don't worry, it's run by Saudi Arabia. It's almost like it's easy to make tweets, but to actually live up to them, to actually put your money where your mouth is, as it were, not take the prize money and show that you won't work with these regimes, that'd be a lot harder, aka something she never does and her org never does, and she doesn't give a fuck about or ever tweet about. Here's a good one. Remember what I said about her screaming at that player? Working in another industry, it's become glaringly clear that medical training is not okay. So it's not okay what's about to happen. Verbal abuse from seniors. I'm your boss and I'll get you traded to another team if I can. Verbal abuse from seniors. It's never verbal abuse when she does it because she's a permanent victim. She constantly projects into the other people that are all the bad people. Cultures of toxicity perpetuated by administrations that see interns as disposable. Remember what I said earlier about jobs? Hierarchies based on archaic methods like nepotism. Like just giving your friends gigs. That's what's going on in EG. Nope. No, that's your career. Did you win? Nope. Are you actually good at your job? Nope. Did you actually help people and help them avoid like retiring early and having mental state? Nope. Do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Nope. Are you someone who's going to stay humble and take the L's and know that you got to win before you can start talking shit? Nope. You're just that fucking Bugs Bunny meme all day long. That should just be the response to everything you do. Every single time you make a statement or say you're going to do something, they should just pop up with the fucking Family Feud like, survey says no. That's just your fucking career in a nutshell, homie. Don't worry though. Not obsessed. Not obsessed. I'm the one obsessed with her when later in 2022 I make a tweet where I embed her thing and I find out she exists. Just raised my standing desk for the first time in 4 months. I am esports. Couple of months earlier, just ironed my sweatpants. I am esports. February, I am esports. Hand sanitizer one, light bulb. Never ends. Never ends. February 2022, give me evidence-based practices or give me death. As you will. As you will. Is there evidence for the fact that your methodology works? Has the evidence of the results shown that what you did works? In that case, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Here's another example of putting your money where your mouth is. February, right when, I think this is like the day after or something, like the conflict broke out in Ukraine with Russia. Honestly, a bit fed up with the I feel sad about Ukraine tweets. Vote, donate, protest, do something. Don't just tweet and then feel like you did anything that matters. I don't give a fuck about the feelings of keyboard warriors in America with no friends or relatives attached. Twitter is not action. We all agree this is bullshit. She and her teams and org compete in ESL tournaments. They compete in League of Legends owned by China, where the Chinese government has a direct say in how much profit they can make. So all the actions of those countries, she essentially is co-signing by her actions. She's not protesting them and saying stuff about them on Twitter. She's not doing something. She's not even tweeting about those particular topics, although you'll see later I did catch her in one. Don't worry about that. Things I've learned in the past 2 months, or a whole 2 months working in Well, let bestow your wisdom upon us, please. Everyone, please be quiet. The GamerDoc is going to speak now. This industry is one giant startup. I mean, yours is a fucking fail down. The non-endemic staff have taught me how to be more efficient and productive. By the way, her go-to thing, because she's a grifter, and this is who she is that all the endemic people are bozos who know nothing, who just were hired for no good reason or because of their skin colour or gender. But all the other people who are diverse and wonderful and just came in who know nothing, they're the geniuses. They're the ones who invented calculus and the rocket ship and nuclear fusion, and we just stole it from them all. You heard that story before about history? Oh, don't worry about it. She goes, and productive. Y'all need to be nicer to players on social media. Was she nice? Is she going to be nice to people later on? We all love our job. What does that mean? We all love our jobs. The people who play under you don't, you fucking idiot. Some of the coaching staff don't, you fucking idiot. Some of the staff don't, you fucking idiot. They like everyone in gaming except Lindsay. That's you. They don't love working with you. You're making their job worse. Good old bozo Dr. Respawn, who I talked about in the video, fantasized about physically assaulting Richard Lewis, said, things I've learned in the past 2 months working with GamerDoc in an esports org. 1, GamerDoc is amazing to work with. How droll. How funny. What a great tweet. Fucking take it to DMs, you cretin. Get ready for more absolute lack of self-awareness and the sheer gall of this person. In March, 2 months in, esports health at the forefront of the Washington Post today. The more attention on this, the less people having to deal with repercussions in the future. And it's all about players retiring early. Spoiler, less than a year later, her player has to retire early behind the scenes and never plays another game of League of Legends, even though he's qualified for the World Championship, what would be most players' dream to play at. But don't worry, she never understands her connection in that. She played a role in it. She's bragging now, but you see the results don't match up with what she's talking about. She talks the talk, she can't walk the walk. Another one. This is an article done with her. Check it out. GamerDoc of Evil Geniuses on the future of esport athlete health, aching wrists, early retirement, and the surprising physical toll of esports. Early retirement and the physical toll. Think about what happens to Danny a few months later. March, one of my players called me Team Mom yesterday. I don't know if that means I'm doing a good job or I need more Botox. No, I think what it means is that you've got Munchausen's by proxy syndrome because you're actively mistreating your children, so they sort of need you more, and in some fucked up way so you get to care for them, right? Isn't that sort of what's going on? Allegedly in a video in Minecraft on Twitch TV. Same month, by the way, she's only had the gig 2.5 months. Dear esports commentators, we're okay with silence sometimes. By the way, love, take your own advice. We're okay with silence sometimes. We're okay with silence sometimes. Barely been in the game, knows nothing about League. Lock cam. She's telling commentators how to do their job for League of Legends. Every moment doesn't need to be filled with high energy chatter. Are you ready for the context of this? This is what a shitter she is. This is as Evil Geniuses is winning the spring final, the one championship they got in League of Legends under her. They're winning, and she's still finding a way to shit on someone. Because that's who this person is. Don't worry, very pretentious. In April, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. motherfucking Eliot. The idea T.S. Eliot quotes apply to you, or in any context like you and your career, by the way. No, your level of rhyme or fucking poetry is more like the shit you find scrawled on a public toilet in the northeast of England, love. Just absolute nonsense. Also, you can only know how far you can go if you risk going too far. Oh, is that about how you treated Danny, is it? Did you actually find out if you went too far? Would he have to be dead, by the way, before you'd ever come out and admit it or take the L? Or acknowledge what you did and your role within it? What would have to happen to him? Would his arm have to fall off? Would he have to private pile himself or something horrific like that before you'd acknowledge what you did? No. It's because I've just gone too far because I'm trying to just show how far one can go. How about just stay within fucking healthy boundaries and just do your job and help the team perform, you fucking cretin? April made the first steps towards getting a therapist for the first time since coming out 14 years ago. There's nothing wrong. I just think my brain should get a checkup like the rest of me does. Ooh, it's important to get a checkup regularly for your brain. Normalise talking about mental health, yo. That's some like... Hello, fellow kid shit. Normalised talking about mental health. Yo. How about Danny when he's just screaming out for help? When he's just losing the plot, he's isolating himself from practices, he's quitting immediately, he's not able to play the meta, he's begging, I don't want to play. Does he need any sort of a mental health checkup? Does he need some professionals to come in and help us? Should we normalise talk about mental health, or should we ignore it and make the players play anyway, love? Which is it? People who seemingly thrive with minimal sleep, no exercise, or terrible nutrition are not the norm. They are the exception. Furthermore, they are still falling far short of their potential. It is impossible to reach peak performance if you aren't covering the biological basis. So one, she even acknowledges that Daddy would have to be a crazy exception to be able to thrive under that situation, even though he did actually still win your championship, go to MSI, qualify for Worlds. And then she acknowledges it's impossible to reach peak performance if you aren't covering all those bases. So when we see her eating pizzas or out of shape later, logically, she cannot, it is impossible for her to be at peak performance. Maybe that's why she's shit at performance of her job, helping other people with their performance. If you're going to fail, fail epically. Fail because you committed to the idea and committed to everyone involved. But you better not fail for lack of trying or listening. First of all, you never listen, you cretin. You can't listen to people who are men, who are just heterosexual or whatever. That apparently seems to be the stigma in your particular case, which is so insane that that is your job, is to help exactly that sort of person, the people you just call doing the bare minimum when they're legends of the field. You just consider them to be doing nothing because of what they were born as. And your job is to help them succeed. I wonder why you can't do it. I wonder why it's misaligned, right? And what do you know? Do you know why this like very poser-ish thing is quoted? Because this is when a month prior, they'd flunked the RMR, the shitter RMR, to qualify to the major. So if you're going to fail epically. Well, you're doing that. You could be called epic fail geniuses because you're fucking amazing at that, love. Similarly, if you believe you're integral to enough to a project that you take some amount of credit when it succeeds, you sure as hell better do that when it fails. Let's see, does she in fact take credit for the fails or does she only take credit for the successes? Let's see, shall we? By the way, if you thought she knew nothing about League of Legends, get ready for CSGO. May 20th, if you haven't rooted for the wrong team because you forgot which side is CT and which is T, are you even a real fan? This is the major. She's watching the major of CSGO that her team didn't qualify to, and she roots for the wrong team because she forgets which is CT and T. Now, anyone who's watched the stream knows, in the modern day, we colour code those things. If you've even played a modicum of CS, how's it going to happen? Like, you'll just know. And they don't, it's not like there's no nameplates. You know which team you're supporting, and you can see the fucking thing on the screen of the person's name. So essentially, what you're supporting Vitality, like a big Zemu fan, and then he's losing to fucking Ents, and then Snappy from Ents Snappy wins around, and you're like, yay, oh shit, wait, that's the other team on the other side. This person is actually a cretin and doesn't know anything about CSGO or esports. Brilliant one here, May 2022. Anyone can be a gracious winner. You've never done it. You've never managed to do it, love. Show me that you can actually do it first. I know you never win, but show me that you can. And by the way, you don't win, so you know nothing about winning. And it's easy to perform who things are going well. Obviously, when might be a typo. It's how you act when the problems stack up faster than the solutions, when the odds are against you, and when you get knocked down that shows true character. So it's when you're at your worst, your shittest, that'll show you true character. That'll show you really are. Because it's easy to be gracious as the winner. She's not gracious as the winner, and she's a shitter when she's the absolute worst. Do you roll over, or do you get up? I mean, I'll add in there, collect another paycheck, tell someone you'll fire them, get in another bad player, take the credit for what works, and then also blame everyone for what doesn't. That's what counts, your true character. So many people out there hearing without listening and just waiting until you're done speaking so they can make their point. Get ready for how she talks to Pimp later on when he tries his best to communicate and actually have dialogue. Let me tell you, being a good listener is a life hack. Well, we can tell that you're not a hacker in any context then, can't we? Another CSGO one. Remember when they signed that lineup in 2022? Y'all better start learning the rules for CS because it's happening. Right, first of all, when you say it's happening, you didn't know the rules of CS. You didn't understand earlier on, like which side is which when you're watching the fucking world championship of the game. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Then if you watch this video, it's how egregious the bragging of the org is. They have no actual swag. They just pretend it. It's like that thing is like swags for little boys, like classes for men. That's what this org reminds me of. In this video, they talk about how they're announcing a power roster of 15 players. Absolutely dog shit, by the way. And by the way, because they signed those other two teams, it basically just fucked those teams. They got money, but it actually denied their ability to qualify to or even play at the major and other big tournaments because obviously you're then eligibility locked, aren't you? So actually just denied two other teams, including Pugnatio, that looked better actually, the chance to actually do something. They just got money only, but didn't actually get to perform. Wait a minute. She must know all about that. Maybe she taught them how to do that. Oh, okay. Guys, I was way too much of a little shitbird earlier in life to hold grudges. Yeah, I'm sure. People grow, people change, people make mistakes. Learn and move on. June. Esports soft skills make or break organizations and teams, yet are virtually ignored by most. Grind more solo queue and continue slamming your dome against the same wall, or figure out how to lead your rank, team, and org to success. Here's how. By the way, she's working with the CSGO squad as well. Let me explain how you lead them to success. 5 best of 3 wins in a year and a half. Soft skills. Everything outside of mechanics/game knowledge, hard skills. In highly technical fields, engineering, aviation. Oh, you know about these fields as well. Fuck, you just know everything, love. Only 15% of success comes from hard skills, with 85% related to the rest. Right. Best part about that, guys, is logically, it doesn't matter how good her players are. Only 15% is hard skills. So the other 85% she was responsible for, and she could have gotten these players to an amazing world-class level, logically. Why do we constantly assume that esports exists in an isolated vacuum? Said the person who came into esports and was like, since I can tell you how to use your wrist, I've pioneered a new form of medicine. Here is my paper and my book. Please buy my book. Holy shit, the lack of self-awareness. We lock up and are defensive when someone tries to help. Imagine that. Imagine that later on. Because we are trash at giving feedback. See previous tweet. Yeah, you are. And we are trash at receiving feedback. You got that right, love. But be open to alternative options. You are probs excellent at what you do. You aren't. You are probs not excellent at what you do. But there is more than one way to skin a cat. I think at this point in time, that's maybe the one thing you would be able to do. Just because a cat would be somewhat of a helpless animal for you. Maybe you could argue like how you treated some of your players. June 2022. When I pitched EG for this job last year, I had never worked for an esports org before. By the way, she's bragging about this. She thinks this is a qualifying factor, that she'd never had experience. Nicole Jameson, to the point, took a chance on me. No, it's just nepotism. Let us take a chance on you. No, you don't take chances on people. You just promote people who are qualified, sure they can do the job, understand what's going on, and then you vet them that they're going to give you the results. You don't just take a chance. Just picked her out of the crowd. Basically, she was Nicole Jameson was Bruce Springsteen, and then she just saw Courtney Cox, GamerDoc, and she picked her out of the crowd. Come on stage, dance with me. Although I guess in terms of fucking results, your team was dancing in the dark, right? Athletics director at a traditional sports org, apply. By the way, that's a way better qualification than your job. Teacher with a passion for growth, apply. Do it. Someone who's a director of performance at a gaming org and thinks that they're really good and they know how to succeed, do it. June, train your coaches in soft skills. Heck yes. But then don't walk away and be like, job's done. Support your coaches and players with performance staff. Ooh, like Danny, you mean? Stimulate a culture of growth that allows people to ask for help. Hey, listen, I can't do this. My matchup's impossible. I'm not really getting any help. Hey, I'm your fucking boss and I'll fire you if I can. Listen to pain points and fix them. That I can't play anymore. Please, I don't want to play anymore. You can play more though, can't you? So come along, load up in the game. After you qualify, then we'll review this scenario. How you do anything is how you do everything. Then we know who you are. You've revealed your true character, my love. Show up prepared and on time. Give your best effort. Be kind and respectful. I don't know a lot. Well, you'd never get that impression reading her Twitter. But I do know that orgs who invest in high performers who inherently understand growth mindset, self-efficacy, and conscientiousness will consistently perform. So by your own logic, you didn't do any of those things and haven't done any of those things because you didn't perform, and especially not consistently. Then Nicole Jameson put this out there. It was retweeted by GamerDoc. Let's just look at this. I'm struggling to politely and properly express the disappointment, anger, and fear that today's news set for human rights in the US. It is easy to feel powerless in these times, but I am grounded, knowing where I do have influence to help. Safety and the right to choose, this is about the Roe v. Wade thing getting overturned, of all evil geniuses is paramount to me. Paramount. It's more important than even results in their job. We will cover relocation of all of our employees and their households who do not feel safe to, I think it's Washington State or California offices. I also open our doors for esports friends of EG who need a safe space to work. A safe space to work. By the way, this org plays in ESL tournaments and it was trying to qualify to Gamers Day and send their players to Saudi Arabia to work. That's how much they care about how safe they feel. But in America, they act like this is like a fucking crazy war zone. They act like this is like Afghanistan under the Taliban. And they're like sheltering in their sanctuary city of EG. These people fleeing from this crazy oppression. These people are so two-faced. And she's retweeted this shit. Don't worry about that. This is a retweet of when Evil Geniuses was trying to get a Valorant partnership program slot. Look at the 3 people they've chosen to show in the graphic. There's Potter on the left, a legendary women's player, now a coach in Valorant who's just had some success, and was a really good analyst. I hired her for Flashpoint back in CSGO. In the middle, Nicole Jameson. My lord, have they been generous with that fucking drawing there, by the way. I noticed these artists and just fucking blow smoke up your ass. And then who's the third person? I get Nicole Jameson. She's the face of the org. She's made herself that. I've heard it. They've got Potter. She's actually the coach of the team. She's someone with a legendary experience in esports. Who's the third person? It's GamerDoc. GamerDoc, the director of performance. She's one of the 3 people they're highlighting for their Valorant team is going to get a Valorant partnership program. Not a player. I've never seen someone who's in her job be touted and put forwards by the org this way, because we all know the fucking reasons why, don't we? July 2022. Do you actually like the people you work with, or do you just tolerate them? I can tell you which it is for the people in your org. They just tolerate it because they have to, or they leave their jobs and go elsewhere sometimes, or retire. Money, prestige, and career success mean nothing if you're not happy. In that case, what you've done to those people's lives has meant that their careers meant nothing. It doesn't matter how much money they got, how much you paid them afterwards in a cover-up. It doesn't matter what prestige they got under you or what their career was. It meant nothing because you ruined their environment and they didn't like working with you. How you like them apples, homie? 3 years in now, August, and the most frustrating thing about esports, get ready, it's always everyone else who's a cretin, remains the amount of chronic underperformers. She has to go to say that, who are still employed thanks to experience. Not even experience, just like quote marks, as though it's like not a real thing. And systematic gatekeeping of talented individuals. Right. So she's frustrated about chronic underperformers like her, who are still employed like her, but in their case, it's because they actually have experience backing up what they did, like unlike her. And it's because of systematic gatekeeping of talented individuals. She joined an org as a consultant, and within one split was promoted to the very top of the org. Essentially, the only way it could be worse if Nicole said, you have the job. You just do my job, the CEO. You couldn't get anyone who was more a benefit of fucking nepotism and is a cretin who is not someone good enough at their job. And she's annoyed that other people get to have jobs because they're experienced. Essentially, this is all code for, I hate white men who are older than me and have been in the industry longer. I wonder why a grifter without skills would hate people like that. You know, the people who could expose her are better at their jobs than her, and quite frankly, one day, if they know what they're doing at Peak 6, will replace her at her job and do a much, much better job. Are you ready? It's always, remember, it's all about not having offensive opinions. That's what divided her country. If you're put off by this tweet, you're the problem. Oh, really? Well, in that case, if you're put off by me and Kassad's tweets, you're the problem. You've solved it. You are being held down by your subpar colleague. You could be so much better, but you choose to protect them over finding someone who makes you better. You've got this. I'd say the same thing to her players. You're being held down by your subpar colleague / boss. She's holding you down. She's actually the reason you're not so much better and could have been contenders. But you choose to protect them because you're scared to speak out against a woman like this, and especially someone who constantly flexes this shit. And you know internally, Nicole Jameson is fire your ass. That's just the way it goes, I've heard. And there's another arsehole in HR who you might hear about in some other stories, who's even worse and just loves to fire people for fucked up reasons and do the old special hires that just don't make any sense. By the way, this is the sort of person who needs to be systematically gate kept out and does not have any talent. August 19th, correlation versus causation. Classic mid-wit fucking spam quote. Correlation. You started an esports org and the teams happened to start winning. That didn't happen under you in CSGO. That didn't happen. They started losing. Causation. You started an esports org and your work directly led to teams winning. Which do you think she's trying to imply she does, by the way? If you're taking credit for wins, capitals, you better own up for losses, capitals. By the way, spoiler, she never owns up for losses. When they lose, she stops tweeting about the game, sometimes about that title, goes to a different game where they're having a bit of success and just focuses on that. She even tweets during a match and then when they lose, she stops tweeting. She is an absolute insane hypocrite about all the shit she tweets and lectures about constantly. September 6th. This is when they had to do the roster move for Danny. Esports is not a nice or an easy place sometimes. Yeah, because of people like you. And sometimes it's very easy to forget that there's a living, breathing human person behind the screen. It's not for me. I can absolutely understand that. You can't, apparently. And it's actually just a screen that's like over the other side of the room for you. We wouldn't have made it this far without him. Yeah, no shit. That's why you coerced him into playing, I heard. Did you know they had a female team called EG Gold? Well, in September 9th, first game of ESL CS Impact League. By the way, on Women's League, remember, people complain about Women's Leagues. That's owned and run by ESL, who is the Saudi Arabian, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the royal family, own all that shit. And they're playing in it. But remember, don't complain about all women's tournaments. What about when the people who own the tournament like mistreat women? I sleep. Their first victory. I'm so proud of this team. Let's fucking go. Wow, she's really supporting them, guys. Do you want to know why there aren't tweets about when they make it to the finals of the Impact League? Because they're finishing last place. So she doesn't tweet about that because it might imply she was in some way connected, even as like a loose correlation, if not causation, eh? This is on brand. Nicole Point Jameson there. GamerDoc there. Live Evil, which is the obvious slogan of EG, but kind of ironic since you're implying you're not actually evil, but you do live evil. September 21st. This is her favourite tweet from yesterday. Favourite tweet from yesterday while scrolling Valorant to see if anyone had figured it out. Optic approaching the table to sign their franchising contract, which they didn't get. A bunch of people lost their jobs. The org must have been in shambles. They were the best org in terms of player success ever in the history of Valorant. Oh, wait. Oh my God, what is that? It's Evil Geniuses with a steel chair. She's laughing that her org came in and took their slot instead of a way better squad in Valorant. And by the way, a better org, quite frankly, because of what shit has proved Evil Geniuses are. That's her favourite tweet, is someone laughing about that. The very same day, a few hours later, get ready for this. Portillo from Cloud9 quotes this here about people memeing on stuff here. And then this guy from EG, Tyler Quaha, comes in and goes, franchising should be a moment where you uplift the NA teams and support all 5 of them in any way, not the opposite. Do better and stop being salty and encourage NA fans to cheer for each other. She retweets that a few hours after her favourite tweet being one shitting on Optic not getting the slot because EG got it instead. Vorberg, who did fuck all in this team, but apparently it's only about 15% to do with hard skills. If you actually have the performance staff, and the 85% of it's like soft skills that can make you succeed anyway. He apparently is dog shit at his job by her logic. Goes, we aren't getting good enough yet, and we need to be better. The kind of tweets Kassad was talking about. But we will, liar. You in fact did not. She then goes, no doubts here. Are you fucking kidding? The only no doubt I can see here is like, don't speak. I know what you're saying. You are full of shit and you're fucking trash at playing. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Your doubts you should have been there. They didn't do it and he was wrong and they didn't. And you said it's all about 85% soft skills. You absolute idiot, fucking hoisted by your own petard, making the rod for your own back. This is when they just beat Eternal Fire to win their first LAN series in fucking years or something mad like that. First best of 3 on LAN. Let's fucking go! Literally shows Anakin, the worst of all the Star Wars characters. Young Anakin from Phantom Menace. She is the Phantom Menace. Or if Star Wars is esports franchise, she's the Phantom Menace. An absolute shitter. Just paid way too much money wasted on it. The performance was garbage and left fans feeling very underwhelmed and dissatisfied. Some people even lost faith in the brand. It's working! Pod racing! Yay! Oh man, guys, she's winning. Surely she won't go crazy now. Same day. This describes much of EG in a nutshell. It's her and Nicole Pot Jameson. Yeah, I agree. Because it's blurry, it's out of focus. One of them's on their phone instead of paying attention. Yeah, I think that does actually describe Evil Geniuses, especially the higher ups, the executives, the management, right? This is where, because this player, Hexed, the one who later on said the stuff they never ever reprimanded him for or even acknowledged, can confirm, pay attention to Secret Lab's wellness seminars that she leads. Get immediately promoted to Tier 1 roster and obtain highest team ranking in greater than a year. Number 25, she is bragging about on HLTV. There are teams you've never heard of who can be ranked top 20. For what more 100% real wellness tips, go to this thing here. Right, she implies they're a Tier 1 org, but they're number 25. If you're a CSGO fan, you know what I'm talking about. That isn't Tier 1. We usually say once you get past about top 10 to 15, you're not Tier 1. Number 25 is not Tier 1. You don't even know what the tiers are in fucking Counter-Strike, the game you're supposed to be helping them in. League of Legends again. October the 3rd. This feels like the first match casters are realising how integral to this team Vulcan is. How the fuck would you know? Get ready for when I show her ranks, by the way. How the fuck would you know what casters do or don't not know and what they understand about the game and whether their commentaries are relevant or actually make sense? And how do you know how integral he is? I've heard from the league players you're a fucking cretin too. High kill games and flashy ults are easy to shout out. That's about the only thing you would be able to. When his impact is sneaky sometimes, but profound, she now knows about subtle play of support, probably the most difficult role to gauge in the game, and she knows about the sneaky, subtle players and how profound they are. Get ready for when you find out her rank at the game. This is in the 5th of October. Vorberg was the first coach we hired where I was involved from start to finish in the recruitment process. She chose Vorberg over Kassad. So my heart fills with even more pride watching the incredible progress and immediate success he has brought to this team. So proud of this team. That's just winning those few bomb-ass games over there. And I assume, let's see, would this maybe be when they'd qualified to the major for a dog shit RMR? She just takes all the... I hired him, you know, and I was involved from start to finish. This guy... And so the incredible success, incredible for Evil Geniuses. This is a team that they've won fucking titles. This is a team that's been in LAN finals. This is a team that was ranked top 2 in the world. They even online had an insane win streak and was again ranked at the top of the fucking HLTV. This is incredible success. Incredible progress. Immediate success. You absolute bum. Get ready for the bragging, because there's finally a moment where it seems that you can. 1 best of 3 away from the major. Shit at RMR. Boot camping for TI. Dota 2. Groups Worlds qualification. Valorant partnership. Impact League first in group. Remember, not going to be tweeting about that later. Game Changers about to qualify for Berlin. And we make this kind of content. Then someone goes, you forgot nurturing NA homegrown talent, e.g. getting it done. Heck yes. By the way, later... Less than a year later, they're trying to fire all the NA players and bring in Russians and CIS players, Jax from France, and then Elige, the best North American player ever. But they're developing the talent. Oh, wow, we make this kind of content. Up here, no leaks, not doing his job properly. According to Reddit, we forgot about franchising, so give us all a break. Then she comes in. Wait, are we supposed to be doing something with the Valorant roster? By the way, at this point in time, Valorant, they'd never accomplished anything in Valorant. It was a joke. That's why it's a joke they got in. They just got in because of the org and stupid reasons to do with Riot, I assume. This person, Andrew Barton, who works there, goes, no, not sure, being focused on Worlds with League of Legends. Then she goes, understandable that people are doubting our abilities because you shit. When you've been busy taking care of our 2S+ tier rosters in World Championships right now. She's literally implying, I'm not joking, that in League of Legends, they are an S+ tier team. S tier, by the way, is a Korean system of grading that means the absolute best of the best. Not even just world class, like the best of the world class. Like in League of Legends, it would be like T1, JDG. It would be Genji. In CSGO, it would be Vitality, Heroic, FaZe Clan. She thinks her EG team that won NA and then didn't even win the second split and had all those problems and went to Worlds. MSI did nothing. Went to Worlds, didn't do anything there either or get out of groups. She thinks they're not just S tier, they're S+ tier. They're the greatest teams in the world because she doesn't know anything about the games, you fucking idiots. She's just been promoted for stupid reasons. Are you ready for more abuse of people who actually do know what they're talking about? 7th of October, pretty convinced that the majority of analysts / personalities / experts in esports are full of big doo-doo. The people who gave us the hardest time about our roster moves are now the ones celebrating the loudest. Don't bet against EG again. I went and looked up when this is. I assume it's EG going 3-0 at the dog shit RMR. The dog shit one. Well, all you did is, what's that, like a win over Fury and a BO1. That's like the main result. What's great is, you know the reason why she keeps calling people out as frauds and didn't want to, because a thief thinks everyone steals. She thinks no one can have their job legit or can actually be good at it. They almost have just been given it because of who they are and who they know. Like her. 12th of October, pretend like you're talking to someone who's never played or downloaded CS in their life. How does one obtain an Evil Genius's skin? Purely hypothetical, of course. She's getting to hire the coaches who work for EG, by the way. In League of Legends, November 9th, remember all the nuance she understands about Vulcan and Sneaky and how profound his players. Winning team in Iron, so she was in Iron, people who know what their buttons do and remember to use their summoner spells. Bronze, team with less bots and inters. Ranked is fun. She's playing ranked in Iron, then she got promoted to Bronze. Dr. Respawn goes, because he's the biggest fucking fart hoffer of all time, it gets worse the higher you go. Bronze 1 is a hellish place, though. She goes, when does it stop? Then, of course, Cassard made his tweet. So she goes, well, it seems like you're overwhelming enthusiasm. Then I say that. She goes, well, you're obsessed with me. Remember what I said about I is esports, I am esports, the million thing, and they're doing the bare minimum. She's obsessed with me before I ever knew she fucking existed. Remember what I said about living what you preach? Especially if you're an example for young men, you're their boss. So this is in November of 2022. Been dreading exercise recently. Dreading it. So you haven't just not you had a day off. You're dreading doing exercise. You know, literally it's what you preach to other people. You said it's impossible to reach peak performance without taking care of the biological basis. Been dreading exercise recently because I have fallen so far out of shape, I'm actually afraid of discovering it. But why do I need to run fast or far? I'm not actually training for anything other than getting old. Enjoy my I hate this. No, you need to do it to meet your peak performance to help your players, you idiot. You said that. You're training for that so that your brain's at the top level and you can be super efficient, etc., right? October 20th, it finally happened. After a drastic shift, countless hours of sweat, toil and blood, I've done it. I want to thank everyone who supported me in the late nights, long hours, and against the haters. My crowning life achievement has been completed. I made it out of iron, baby. Not at your actual job you didn't love. You're still in iron there, not even at bronze yet. More complaining. 11th of November, toxicity and bad actors are like biofilms. So this is going to be rich. One bacteria might not seem so bad, but one bad bacteria recruits another bad bacteria, other bad bacteria. You mean like Nicole, who's bad at her job and a total hypocrite and piece of shit. She hired you for your, that's how you got in the org, and then you got, yeah, I can see how it's going. And then the HR person. That one cell can even change the gene expression of other bacteria. Yeah, they could ruin everyone else who's even actually good and talented and make them turn into a sheet of adhesive goo that sticks to your heart. You've turned them into shit that sticks to the fucking esports scene, sadly, because you're in partner programs and you're in the LCS and VCT and you just get to stick around even though you're fucking shit and you're essentially like the goo inside the heart of the NA esports scene. Your heart valves or your teeth. Brush your fucking teeth. So dense that antibiotics or your immune system won't reach it. Oh, there's an immune system. That's weird considering some of those earlier tweets I referenced. Until it festers, yeah, it gets worse and worse over time if you don't excise it, right? All from one bad bacteria. This is the story of evil geniuses under the Peak 6 Nicole Point Jameson era. Check toxic behavior from the start. Agreed. Don't keep bad actors around because of experience, like Bird. It's the fucking SpongeBob experience. Remember, experience isn't real. She thinks her experience in medicine is mega, but experience isn't real. Or let everything fester and rot. Yeah, I agree. For this Veterans Day, people who've gone to war and have come back and potentially had horrific experiences, physical or mental, let's agree to providing the same amount of support to the physical and mental health of veterans as we do to the defence budget. How about this? Let's agree to put the same amount of support to the physical and mental health of players in Evil Geniuses and CSGO and League of Legends as you do to the budget for making silly, fun hype videos for Worlds. So you're like, can we make this content? As Danny's just degrading, losing his mind, allegedly, and is in a terrible physical situation and his career's essentially over. Then there was that Cassard one. This is the one I mentioned earlier. Another outstanding CSGO performance from EG. Their director of performance did another stellar job. Luckily, this isn't the first time a mediocre, middle-aged white man has been obsessed with me. She's referring to me there. Even though this is around the time I discovered she existed, and she'd done that shitty tweet to me. Meanwhile, I am esports, I is esports, I am esports, I am esports. I stood up, I took a shit, I am esports. I breathe air, I am esports. I blink my eyes, I am esports. I get out of bed, I am esports. Yeah, it's me that's obsessed with her. She's definitely not a fucking projector. The joke is you could take her, pop an old school canister of fucking film reels in the back of her head, drive a bunch of cars in and have a fucking drive-in movie theatre, just projecting everything onto a massive screen. It's fucking mental. I am a 20-year content god and award winner who has been on television for my job. She is a fucking esports medicine doctor shitting the bed at literally her job title. Then she gaslights Cassard. You don't have to get so emotional. Remember about taking feedback. If the LCS owners meeting was a this is after all the Danny shit privately, by the way. If the LCS owners meeting was a stereotypical 90s American high school cafeteria, what cliques would the big orgs be? I think Evil Geniuses would be those mediocre, well-off mean girls clique that just bullies someone else who's innocent, but they just hate because they're pretty or from like a conservative background into suicide eventually at the end of the year. That's who I would say in a video game Minecraft that the Evil Geniuses ownership group would be in high school. December 23rd. Esports need innovators willing to trial untested hypotheses that may improve the space, but responsible and low ego enough to adapt when the data proves otherwise. Creativity and accountability. There's no accountability in this person's career or in her org. This is how much they know about esports. Harris Peskin talks about like the industry struggling, going on about all these things, monetization. She goes, January 18th of 2023. I didn't learn until like 2 months ago that Team Liquid owned Liquidpedia. It's not called Liquidpedia, you fucking moron. It's Liquipedia. Team Liquid, it's all, you can't miss it. You don't know anything about esports. I obviously haven't seen their revenue. Yeah, no shit. I guess that's another field you know everything about. But that type of diversification of revenue is genius, is it? Do they make money doing that? Or do they lose money running a massive wiki for free for everyone without really good advertising that anyone clicks on and just providing free shit for morons that you didn't even know existed? Then, of course, this is when they're going to beat EG, aren't they? Are you ready, guys? This morning, I am thankful for American Airlines in-flight Wi-Fi, are you listening? So I could watch Evil Geniuses beat Heroic on their own map pick. When she brags about all this, the one big win they ever get under her in a best of three on LAN, she's watching on Wi-Fi on the airplane, and she already knows fuck all, has never downloaded or played CS, doesn't know how you get a skin, or that Liquipedia is owned by Liquid. This morning, I'm thankful to American in-flight Wi-Fi, so I could watch them beat them on their own map pick. It's true, they beat EG on their own map pick. Then she starts talking shit. So because at the top, here, look, Dust 2 US, tier 3 team beats number 1 team in the world. Nicole Pot Jameson, Hart. She goes, is this a headline? A direct quote from the casters. You will listen to the game, love. Why don't you know? This guy goes, the Heroic Twitter account. Oh my God, thank you for this. Flag, top level content. Shitting on Heroic for daring to do a tweet like that after the shit that they've tweeted from EG. Then they just won. This is the most infamous tweet that got everyone to see her on the radar. January 19th, they just won that first best of 3 over Heroic, number 1 ranked team in the world. We just took down the number 1 ranked team in the world, and all the casters can say is Heroic didn't show up. Do you know how good Heroic are, by the way? They are absurdly good. They even actually get through this group and go and do big things. They even win eventually the finals of this season. It was the worst ever result that Heroic lineup's had. All they can say is Heroic didn't show up. We clawed our way back from 217th in the world by building a talent pipeline the whole scene memed on. They were trying to replace them all with Russians, Jacks, and Elige. Step out of the echo chamber and pay attention. She has never left an echo chamber containing her and Nicole Point Jameson. Haters gonna hate, right? That's what she said later. What an utter moron this person is. So Pimp tries to come in and actually be the voice of reason and sort of explain to her why they would say that. He comes in and he says, you're clearly not listening one word of what's being said by the casters or us for that matter. That was very impressive, and I feel everyone acknowledged that as well, as we should. Heroic didn't show up, so you want casters to blatantly lie. For what reason exactly? She replies, if an NFL commentator showed up, ignored the off-season change, she thinks the off-season changes have made EG sick, but that Heroic actually should be beaten by EG. Ignored the off-season changes, called a game entirely based on the previous season's performance. Seasons don't work that way in League, in CSGO, you idiot. And was clearly biased for one team, it would be unacceptable. All I'm asking for is the level of professional standards the whole scene deserves. I'm just asking for the level of fucking performance direction that the whole scene deserves. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. If an NFL commentator showed up, ignored history, past tendencies, and context, he'd be more professional. Nailed it. It's like you're asking for less nuances, which I strongly disagree with. Clearly biased for one team. You know what? That's not okay. You're attacking my colleagues' integrity, doing it based on your own obvious bias towards EG, obviously. I don't believe anyone casting/covering that game has a clear bias towards anyone. They are in fact professionals, and you'd know if you paid attention. She was on a plane, mate, listening on Wi-Fi. Getting defensive. Oh, he's the one getting defensive now. Getting defensive and telling me I'm incorrect because I wasn't paying attention to the game, rather than admitting there might be some area for improvement. She won't admit anything in the future. Is a perfect example of the problems she knows all about the problems in the space, even though she's one of the biggest ones and has never solved any. You bet I'm getting defensive, says Pimp. When you're insinuating some of the hardest working and most passionate people in this space, he's doing it all in a second language, he's fucking cooking her right now, lacks professionalism. I don't think that's even remotely fair, and yet you're yet to provide any reasonable reasoning as to why you think so. Let's leave it here. He's actually the bigger man here. He goes, let's just leave it here at this point in time. Another guy who blows smoke up your arse from EG goes, another outstanding CSGO performance from EG. Their director of performance did another stellar job. Another, what is it, the second time ever? I notice when they succeed, it's all her. And when it isn't, no one ever goes, bad job by our director of performance. Hope she gets to get that. Never ever tweet about her. And then she has the goal to say the silence and lack of subtweeting is deafening. Get ready for her silence and lack of subtweeting, boys. With all those losses later, you'll never find them on her Twitter timeline. They're not there ever. Remember, she said if you take the credit for wins, you've got to take the blame for losses. Never does. Never does. Even acts like this is, she implies this is actually accurate. That's a stellar job that she did that made them beat the number one team in the world. When Mo is the voice of reason, you done fucked up. He's supposed to be the clown, you idiot. It's called a honeymoon phase. Impressive win, but it's one win at the start of the year where players come back from a break. Oh, really? Keep the consistency and see how the casters talk then. What a lucid point from Mo. She goes, you're not wrong. One win doesn't mean a lot if we don't replicate. Let's see how they replicate, shall we? Spoiler, they don't win the next time against Heroic. They don't make the finals. They don't go on to do sweet fuck all. In fact, you'll find out soon how insane it is how few wins they replicate after this. When they have the rematch, Nicola Point Jameson goes, same score, please. She wants more. 2-0 this time, maybe? Spoiler, lost that one. Oh, what's that? After the first two maps of the Heroic game, I hope we win today so I can talk smack on the internet. Love, you talk smack when you're losing everything and you still say that everyone in the industry with like experience is fake and just got their job because of like who they are instead of like what they did or some shit. Ah, yes, beating each other on our map picks and going to round 3, as is tradition. That's not tradition. That's the once in a blue moon result. That's not tradition in any context. The second time it ever happened. Do you want to talk about tradition? Do you want to talk about what happened after this win against Heroic? Here's what happened. They failed to qualify for the finals. They lost all the following series, including a rematch against Heroic. It's almost like Heroic was the better team and just didn't turn up in the first one, the first match after the player break. They went 0-9 in LAN best of 3 since then to this day. Online, they even lost a ton to embarrassing teams. They lost in CCT North Europe, like more of a tier 2 competition, to Illuminar from Poland, 2 days after losing the IM Katowice play-in, one of the biggest events of the year. They lost in an ESEA Cash Cup to Timbermen, never heard of them, less than 2 weeks after losing at the RMR for the Blast Paris Major. They lost to Nouns in the Gamers NA qualifier to try to go to Saudi Arabia where they treat women like that and gay people, etc. They lost to Eros, never heard of them, in an ESEA Cash Cup in May. Well, we've seen that you can't replicate the results. If it's your credit for the win, this is your blame for the losses, isn't it? More condescension. Be direct with respect. Passive aggression is destroying society. We don't address our feelings or past transgressions, so we hold on to it and it bubbles up during future interactions. Get one win. Every caster in others knows nothing. It's all doo-doo with their edge and their experience. Conflict can breed positive change if you handle it correctly. Did she handle the conflict from Cassard or me or Pimper? Did she handle that? No, she didn't, of course. More stupid shit to come, don't worry. By the way, it does know a lot about gaming, though, because in her high school in Podunk fucking nowhere, who gives a shit? She was a DDR champion. Let's go! Vorburg, after they lose in January 27th, Ross lost today. We simply need to be better. I assume it's actually after the group. And we'll work our asses off to get there. I think this is when they went out in last place. We can play great CS. Lie, incorrect, inaccurate. But we obviously just aren't near consistent and solid enough yet. And we give up too many advantages too easily. It sounds like you could really use like a performance director to help you. A couple of days to grow, then we play Katowice. They lost in the plane, and then online they were losing to nobodies. She has the goal to say streaks of brilliance and continual upward progress. Proud of this team and your work, coach. The streaks of brilliance were qualifying through a bullshit RMR the earlier year, then winning 2 series against really bad teams in bad shape at ESL Pro League, but not getting out of the groups. Then going here to Blast Groups, winning 1 series, losing in last place anyway, not qualifying later to the Give me a break. What streaks of brilliance? These are shit stains on the underwear of esports. When they were playing against Complexity in the Blast Premier, in like the last place match or whatever, in like the player thing to see if you can still qualify, Complexity off to an early lead in the NA versus NA battle to see who gets to play in NA. Trying to focus on the game, but Halzerk's mullet is too immaculate. So she's tweeting about Cole. When they lose the series and finish last place, she just doesn't tweet anymore about it. Ready for another lecture? Few days after the big win. Confident players win. So how do we create confident athletes? Spoiler, you don't know in CSGO. Self-efficacy, a belief that you have the capacity to achieve your goals. I mean, that's your problem. You think you do, but you don't. When self-efficacy was manipulated in a research setting, individuals with low self-efficacy performed significantly worse than those with high self-efficacy. So logically, you've created a scenario of low self-efficacy of your players and your coach. E.g. Garden comes in. Among the things you've already listed, confidence comes from preparation. The more prepared you feel for something, the more confident you're going to be. Yes, confidence from preparation can't be taken away either. So logically, you don't prepare properly. Tips for coaches to increase self-efficacy in your players. Practice positive feedback when they perform well. You just take credit for it all. When they're not performing well, avoid comparing their performance to other players. If someone is struggling, give your player an easy goal to accomplish. No, he's struggling, that guy in the academy team. You're just giving him nightmare fucking hellscape simulator matchups and he plays 10-minute matchups over and over and over and over again, getting his head smashed in completely. Oh, that'll give him a lot of confidence, won't it? This is her philosophy in a nutshell. Life is never fair. Well, when they work with you. Scratch, claw, do whatever you need to do to get to where you need to go. Feel no shame. You've got it. Yeah, you said it all, love. Put that on a fucking placard above your desk. 18th of February. More eyes on NACS than ever before, it seems. Blueprint Project seems to be working, and it's definitely unrelated to my internet shit-talking. Her internet shit-talking is why there's so many eyes on NACS. Looking forward to the match viewership later on. Now it's about how many people watch the match, not how you do. By the way, this is after they've won 2 BO1s at the RMR, and they think they're going to qualify. They lost to MIBR and Team 1 from Brazil. Their only wins were over nobody NA teams. That's how they did. That's it. They didn't qualify for the major. April 1st, maybe it's an April Fool's joke, must be surely, right? If this year's taught me one thing, great April Fools. It's appreciate what you've got and don't be a sore winner. Good stuff, EGCS Go. Yeah, that is a fucking hilarious April Fool's joke. That's really good. That's really funny. Even though, what's that? Because of the timestamp. It wasn't actually April Fool's in LA. Ah, damn it, she meant it. LCS playoffs, NA showdown, Beast Coast matchup to determine number 1 in South America, VCT opening weekend, Game Challengers qualifiers, so many video games to watch this week. Thanks, Ethan Arnold, for accidentally ordering an extra small jersey that doesn't fit anyone else. Down here, feels like right now we do need to pay attention. Blast Premier. I guess I deserved that. Promise is April Fool's, so it might be an April Fool's joke again. If it actually was the one time she ever acknowledged that she was an idiot and said something stupid, fair play, I'll give her that one. Everyone gets the exception, right? Speaking of deserving, though, how about apologising to everyone you talk shit on Twitter, you ignorant shitheel? How about that? Do they deserve to be treated that way? Then, she has the goal to do a tweet. This week, I've seen some good esports news. Hirings, team signings, new sponsors. Are we on an upswing yet? Right after that, LCS update. Evil Geniuses takes great pride in our commitment to competitive performance and talent development. After the outcome of our 2023 spring split season, we will be making roster changes that fully align with this commitment. They just downgraded the whole roster and let a load of big contracts go so they didn't have to pay them and didn't have to have those players anymore. Right after she's talking about the upswing of esports and hiring and team signings. This person's involved in some of this shit and takes credit for it. And are you ready? Remember about being obsessed. Middle-aged white men are just obsessed with her. This is mental. Like, she's flying on May 11th. I have a higher airline status than Mitch McConnell, the minority leader of the United States Senate, right? That's not even how these work, by the way. It's not that you're like, I'm higher on the leaderboard. No, that's not how that works at all. But you're ready. She does that. It's one thing to just tweet about it. Okay, technically, we don't even know that. It's just it could be anyone, right? She might even be memeing. Oh, no, don't worry. She provides evidence. Here's a picture. This is not a joke. That is actually him, right? By the way, why does Mitch McConnell have to have pictures taken of him secretly without his permission, then uploaded to the internet, referencing who he is and where he is in real life at that moment? How is that acceptable? What, because he's an old white man? Is that the problem here? Like, by the way, by her own logic, if you're any sort of public figure, people should take candid shots of you anywhere, put them on the internet and say what you're doing and where you are. Say what's going on, maybe even imply where you're flying. In that scenario, by her own logic, if anyone meets her in real life, she'd be fine with them just taking secret pictures of it in any context and then just putting them online, just tweeting about him. Yeah, mentioning her by name. Are you fucking kidding me? What an arsehole. What a two-faced arsehole. By the way, if you're wondering how competent she is at her job, You know when they got Demon 1, that Unreal Tournament player, into the EG team, who's like a pretty skilled player? Oh, don't worry, they're doing aim labs tests to check your mechanics, and that's a factor in hiring you. Even though she already said earlier, like, that so hard skills are like 15%. And by the way, this is like some stupid NFL combine shit. No one cares about that. We care how you play, you moron. Did Jerry Rice have the greatest combine shit ever? Of course he didn't, you fool. This is rich. 5th of June, after all this failure. Tilting while gaming. What are the most common patterns you've seen online or in teammates? I've seen either goes quiet and refuses to use comms, Danny, or gets angry and tries to carry but ends up feeding. It's kind of like you, actually, at your job. This is a good one, more hypocrisy. 1st of July. To the Evil Genius's followers who are confused or surprised by our Pride content, you must be new here. Well, tell that to Saudi Arabia. Tell that to the Savvy Gaming Group and to ESL and Gamers8. Tell that to the PIF. Tell that to the Kingdom of Saud. Tell that to Mohammed Al Bin Salman or whatever his name is. You tell him about what you think about Pride. Throw that in his face. See how he feels about it. Or you won't, will you? Tell you what, when you go there, why don't you just bring all this Pride shit with you? Why don't you just do all that stuff right in their faces when you're there? Will you do it? Of course you fucking won't. Because you just tweet, like you said about the Ukraine shit. You never actually do anything. Protest. Do something. In fact, you don't even tweet when it's actually directly about their country. Remember about how it's vital to get the biological bases covered. This is recently. Some days I am a brilliant computer running at peak efficiency, annihilating goals with vigour, and then I don't know what days those would be. Yeah, the one day in a blue moon. Other days I am a slug human whose shining accomplishment is feeding myself one meal that isn't microwaved. Those states are uncompromising and there's no in-between. There is an in-between. Sounds like you're terrible at your job and you don't practice what you preach. And your players could be following you, seeing this example and thinking, well, I'm only a fucking player. I could just do that too. I could just eat microwaved meals all day long. That's got great nutrition, right, to help my peak performance in South Africa. Give me a fucking break, will you? It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's end the video with one big laugh, though. The ultimate irony. This is from her doctor account in real life, way before she was involved in esports. It's in 2019 when she's writing those dog shit Kevin MD articles. On my other forms of social media, I have no problem reaching out and engaging in a conversation. Debatable. Yet on Med Twitter, surrounded by thousands and thousands of social media docs, I feel like the least experienced person in the room, therefore hesitant to post. Anyone else? If only you actually felt like that in esports and were hesitant to post, then you wouldn't have made an absolute clown out of yourself. Then you actually wouldn't seem like an utter moron, would you? And by the way, one last little joke from her background. When she worked at MedStar National Rehabilitation Network in Washington, D.C. metro area, she was the director of social media. So she's shit at directing performance and social media. I've been pleasantly surprised during the time I've had my Patreon and my Patreon community, the Skrilluminati, by both the financial support they've provided and the moral support. And so this video was kindly supported and made possible by Starlust, Theo Buenzli, Ahmed Hadjou, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Torin, Jensen Goh, Animosity, Tobias Bernasconi, Bot Pounder 420, Yerka 86, Tosh, and as always, you know it, a special thanks goes out to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Would you like to ask a question in one of those AMAs where I tend to go pretty in depth? Sometimes they even spin out into their own videos. Do you want teasers to find out who the upcoming guests are for the myriad of interviews that I do across esports? Maybe you want to suggest a topic or a guest. We have a channel on my Discord where you can do that if you're at the right tier. And of course, you could potentially take part in one of those lengthy esports discussions with me about whatever is on your mind in the scene. Well, if any of those perks sound tantalizing, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.